Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. And obviously, we got a lot to talk about today. Yesterday was one of the most shocking news days in really since 9/11. I'm trying to think, when has there been a news story as shocking as yesterday since 9/11. In fact, this Elon Musk meltdown that happened towards our great President Trump, the last time I've seen people watching the media nationwide, really worldwide like that, was the O.J. Simpson chase in L.A. with Al Cowlings and that white Ford Bronco. It was very similar to that. So we're going to cover that, and I'm going to share my thoughts on it. Now, since it is Friday's show is Open Phones. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Open MAGA Mike Friday, you're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind. You don't have to call in to discuss anything that we bring up on the program. And the number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Okay, so I'm going to give you just the update before we go through the events of yesterday. The update for those that are just tuning in, Elon Musk has signaled that he and President Trump should make up, and there is a phone call scheduled between Elon Musk and Donald Trump today, okay? So that's the update on the whole situation. I'll give you the update first. But let's go through what happened and what this could mean. And we've got a serious problem here with Elon Musk that really needs to be handled. Elon Musk had a complete break from reality yesterday. And a complete break from reality towards President Trump. And yesterday, those of you that listen to my podcast, I mentioned this on my podcast last night. I watched the president with the German chancellor yesterday. And of course, in the Oval Office, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll go to the call shortly. And of course, they asked him about Elon. And President Trump said some things. He was kind of reserved. He said some things. And then I did my podcast, and I was, as I was literally, I was uploading my podcast to YouTube and all the podcast platforms, which is a process. I'm uploading the podcast, and as it's uploading, Elon Musk dropped this tweet saying that Donald Trump is on the Epstein list. So I immediately stopped uploading my podcast to all the podcast platforms, and I was grateful that I didn't start uploading the podcast like 30 seconds earlier, or a podcast that was irrelevant would have been uploaded instead of one that was up. So I redid the entire podcast after that. I had to do the podcast over. I've got a podcast that no one will hear but me. I'm the only one that heard it because I didn't upload it because things change so fast. And when Elon Musk posted that Donald Trump is on the Epstein list, everything started to go nutso. And of course, we know that is not true, and it's not just opinion that it's not true. We know with 100% certainty that Donald Trump is not on the Epstein list. Okay, and the reason we know that is because if he were, the deep staters and never Trumpers that shot him in Butler, before they tried that and went to such high risk, they would have released the Epstein information, right? Which they didn't because he's not on it. Now, what they're probably telling themselves is, gosh darn it, we should have just made up that he was. And printed up some fake forged files and documents that said that he was. But they would have released that information. They were so desperate to stop President Trump from getting the nomination with everything they did the last 4 years. So we know with 100% certainty, everyone knows that he's not on the list because of that alone. But things started to go nutso at that point. And there were three people who gave the best analysis of the entire conflict. President Trump himself in the Oval Office with the German Chancellor, Kayleigh McEnany on the 5, and Jesse Waters on the 5. And Jesse Waters, he says, that's how guys are. Guys get into fights and then the next day they're friends. That's true. Kayleigh McEnany said that, you've got the richest man in the world and you've got the most powerful man in the world. This was bound to happen. And McEnany said, the only way for this to work out is for the richest man in the world to bow down to the most powerful man in the world, and that's just not going to happen. That's where the conflict comes. But President Trump, when he was with the German Chancellor, he not only said it best what was going on with Elon. Now, of course, when President Trump was talking with the German Chancellor, that's before Elon Musk said that he was on the Epstein list, okay? But he said, President Trump said this. He said, people, they're here and then they leave and they wake up the next day and they're not in the Oval Office and it's big letdown. See, Elon Musk, in many ways, was like a co-president. He wasn't co-president, but he was almost like one. And President Trump gave Elon Musk access that very few people, if any people, have gotten that aren't married, related, or at the top cabinet positions of a president. He didn't just have Elon in the cabinet meetings and in the Oval Office. He had him on Air Force One on every flight he took. He was staying with him at Mar-a-Lago. But he was also, Elon Musk was in the Situation Room with military actions and such, and very classified things going on with President Trump. This is access that no one has had. And he only had it for the 130 days because the law only allows this 130-day thing. And so President Trump was right. In a way that I would explain, and this is not the best analogy to make, okay? And I probably shouldn't use this one, but I'm going to. If what happened with Elon Musk yesterday was a complete break from reality, and it would be very similar to this. Someone is on imagine this. Someone is on a 130-day cocaine binge. They're doing cocaine nonstop for 130 days. And then on the 131st day and 2nd and 133rd day and 135th day, they're cut off. They wake up and then boom, we're on day 136, which yesterday was either 135 or 36, and he's been out of the White House a few days. He doesn't have that cocaine. He has a complete freak out because he needs his drugs. And Elon's drug was being the co-president in his mind, being in the Situation Room, standing next to the president behind the Resolute desk, being there in cabinet meetings, taking a position of prominence, speaking as if he were a cabinet member, being in the Situation Room with classified discussions about very important things, and he didn't have his fix anymore. And he was going through hardcore withdrawal. And this may not be over. And President Trump said this has happened to other people. Indeed, it has. And we'll talk about that as the morning goes on. If you're on hold, stand by. I've got more to say about this, and we will take your calls. But I am going to do my best to take the break on time each and every time. It's break time on today's program. So it's time for break number 1 of this Friday edition. Now remember, it is open phones, open MAGA mic Friday, meaning you can call in about any and everything on your mind. You do not have to talk about anything that I bring up or Steve brings up. You can bring up anything you want on Open MAGA Mike Friday, although I'm sure you all have a lot of opinions on the Elon Musk breakdown yesterday. Our number is toll-free, no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631. 465-2631. My name's Brian Craig. We'll take our first break of this Friday and be right back. Welcome, everyone. Yes, if you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the chat. But, you understand what I mean? I don't know if that's the best analogy, but it's like someone that's been on a big cocaine bender, and then, boom, they're cut off. And they've gone cold turkey, and they start to freak out. It was kind of like that. Unless, I don't know, do any of you have a better analogy? That's the best one I could think of. Okay. Mike also tells me what live commercials I've got to do. Yeah, if you're on hold, you hang in there. We will go to the phones. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Well, a lot of things came out, It came out, he was yelling at the chief of staff and the Treasury Secretary. No, I've been up since midnight. I've been up all night. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And if you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. This is a radio station break. No, it's totally insane what happened. Just completely insane. I'll go to the phones when we get back. And I'll share my thoughts as I'm talking to the callers and as the show goes on beyond that. About 1 minute, we'll be back. Well, thank you, Brandon. Well, Elon was saying some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, he was not lucid. He was not lucid yesterday. That's for sure. Who knows? The phone call may or may not happen, and just because they have a phone call doesn't mean he'll stop. He's having freakouts. We are back on this Open MAGA Mike Friday, Open Phones. I am Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, although the big story today is Elon Musk's break from reality. I'm going to go right to the phones and share the rest of my thoughts as I'm talking to you callers and as the show progresses. But let's go, all right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Jeff from Maine.
Hey, Jeff. What's up?
I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
You got to pick up the phone. You're on your speaker. Okay, go ahead. What's on your mind, Jeff?
Listen, Elon Musk is to serve at the president's will, what he wants, and to bring in his ideas, and he was doing a great job. Everyone knows that. He uncovered mass amounts of fraud, but he serves the president, and him not being a true American or American, by birth, I don't think he gets that. And for him to go off on President Trump the way he did was almost childish.
I think it was. I think he had a mental break from reality, is what I think happened.
I do too. There's no other way to describe it. It's almost like an adolescent having a fit.
Like these, very good points, Jeff. And, some of these other people that have left, like Omarosa and Scaramucci in the first term, were out there all over the place doing interviews, trashing Trump. That was different. Those were, I think most people recognize that this was a mental break, and that's why people really aren't upset at Elon today. They're like, because they think he's mentally ill. Right? And Scaramucci and Omarosa, it wasn't a mental break. It was just petty ego problems they had.
And I'd like to repeat something. It's not from me. It was from Steve Bannon. He says, yesterday President Trump was on the phone for an hour and a half with Putin, a brutal man. And then he was on the phone for an hour and a half with Xi Jinping from China. He works 20 hours a day.
Yep.
And he is doing so much, in that he kind of went a little too far with Elon, but on what he thought should happen. But he was right about what his point was. President Trump has so much on his plate. Elon Musk could not do
you understand?
what President Trump's doing.
A week ago, Elon Musk would have been there when the president was talking to Putin and the Chinese leader. And now he's not. And that's part of the problem. He has this withdrawal of no longer in his mind being the co-president. Hey, appreciate the call, Jeff. And Jeff is right on about that. And so is the great Steve Bannon. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Kenny from Palm Beach. How are you?
All right, Kenny.
Talking about the feud.
And hold on 1 second here. My phones are just ringing like mad. I got a bit of a bad connection with you on your phone, but go ahead, Kenny.
Can you hear me better now?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, maybe because I was walking with my phone, but still, in any event, they may, regarding this feud, they may be having a little bit of stat, but I don't believe it is for real 100%.
You don't believe it's real?
Well, I don't believe it's to the degree that the media and others are trying to, promote it. I just feel that if what Elon said had any grain of truth to it, it'd be all over the news. And like you said, it would. Oh no,
we know. You're talking about the Epstein. We know Trump's not on the Epstein list because the Democrats would have released that during the campaign. And they didn't.
Okay, so
So that's a 100% confirmation that he's not on the list because of that.
So that opens the door to a humongous lawsuit, defamation of character, from Elon saying something that's blatantly false.
It's possible, but So what do you think happened? Do you think he had a break from reality and is just missing the halls of power, and he's freaked out over it? What do you think?
The guy is quirky. There's no doubt about it. He's quirky, but he's a genius.
Yeah. Let me ask you. Do you have a cordless phone?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! I didn't know anybody still had those. So that's why the phones. This is
No,
how.
No, I'm sorry. I'm on my cell phone. I misunderstood you.
Oh, okay. It sounds like one of those. Remember those old cordless phones that we would have on landlines? I agree with what I said, but there's a really bad connection with your cell, so I'm going to let you go. But thanks for the call. Call again. Well, I'm sure we'll have a better connection next time you call in. Yeah, I agree with everything we're hearing from most of the callers. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, Vincent Wellington.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I don't understand why Elon would even go towards the Epstein issue because his brother actually dated Ghislaine Maxwell at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, that whole setup of him bringing up Epstein kind of gets negated if your brother dated the mistress of Epstein, so I don't get it why he would even be lashing out at Trump at all.
Well, it's what President Trump said. People leave the White House, they're not here anymore, and it brings along a depression. And Elon Musk had a position that no one has had except a first lady. He was in the Situation Room. He's on every phone call on Air Force One. He had more access than even really a first lady would have. And when that's taken away on a dime, it's got to be a major mental letdown, and I think that caused him to have a break from reality.
I can't remember if he dated Ghislaine before Epstein or after Epstein, but I know for sure his brother dated Ghislaine Maxwell, and they were photographed together with his brother multiple times. So for me, it's like, you were closer to the situation because him and his brother were very close. Beginning of PayPal and all of that stuff was him and his brother. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand. Even if it was before Epstein that he dated Ghislaine, then
and there's pictures out there now, and they came out quick. The thing about it is his criticism was first about the bill and everything,
right.
And then when he put that post on X about the Epstein list and Trump, that's I think that's when everything really blew up. But everybody realized there's something off with this guy. Elon's just not right in the head. That's how I took it. I mean, how do you take it? I know like Steve Bannon and a few people are going to say, I told you not to trust him. I knew. Nah, that's broken clock, self-congratulatory, stuff. That no one could have predicted this.
I kind of agree with Bannon on some stuff, and I understand why he was so outspoken in the beginning when Elon got close to Trump, because you can't really trust somebody that you really fully don't live with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Bannon was feeling that feeling that Elon's feeling now, being out of the Situation Room. And maybe that's why Bannon's been so critical of Elon the whole time, is because he was in a similar situation. He was a senior advisor in the first administration and there was a high profile firing. And and if you noticed, when this heated up, all of a sudden Bannon's pro everything. He's even pro everything in the big beautiful bill. Bannon's trying to get back in the White House. He was auditioning to get back in the White House yesterday. It was obvious. I agree with you. But I mean, the whole Elon drama, I think it's going to cool down at this point, and I think we're going to see Trump is doing things that he has to do for the country, and using Elon Musk to dig deep into the deep state was a great addition to the cabinet without it really being the cabinet.
Yeah.
And I think that, that limited time was all he needed. And, Elon might be feeling kind of like, almost like used in a way. But that kind of stuff is going to just be egos, and they're going to clash because you're talking about the richest man and the most powerful man in the world. And it's all out on transparent airwaves because he has Twitter and Trump has Truth. So they're gonna.
Well, Trump has the global media because Trump is the sitting president of the United States, so he has every media outlet in the world. So, yeah. All right.
Exactly.
I got to run for the break, but I appreciate the call. And those of you on hold, stand by. We'll continue with the calls after this break. Now, I want to tell you guys, one of the sponsors of today's program is this great Father's Day book, The Flower Story. It's written by a father about his daughter and a father-daughter relationship. It is available for free. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get the Flower Story for free, and there is a link in the description of the video, a direct link to the book on Amazon, but it's available in regular Kindle, paperback, and hardcover as well. And there is time to order for Father's Day. And again, the link is in the description, The Flower Story, great book for Father's Day. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, make sure you download it. They're sponsoring today's program. So when you support our sponsors, you're supporting all of my content, and it's greatly appreciated, guys. Yeah, the link is in the description of the video to the book. Absolutely. And I thank you for your support, by the way, guys. Very much appreciated. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned to the live chat, and it's toll-free. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. This is our bottom of the hour break on at the radio station. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. No, I don't think this was a plan with Trump to put out there he's on the Epstein list. I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, The Flower Story. They're sponsoring today's program, and the link to the book is in the description of the video. Again, it's free on Kindle Unlimited, so make sure you get the book. Also available in hardcover, paperback, and regular Kindle. It's a great Father's Day book, and they're sponsoring today's program. Yeah, callers on hold, stand by. Yeah, Trump's got bigger fish to fry. This is not something that he has time for. Mm-mm. We'll be back in about a minute. Stand by. Less than 30 seconds. Pennsylvania, welcome. Welcome back, everyone. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I'm Brian Craig. Of course, we're talking about the biggest story, this mental break that Elon Musk had yesterday, and it is Open Phones on Friday, Open MAGA Mike Friday. So you can also call in about any and everything you have on your mind. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. How you doing?
All right.
This is Maria from Florida.
Hey, what's up, Maria?
Hey, how you doing? Oh my God.
Hold on. I got it. My lines are just blowing up. So hold on. Let me get all these people. Okay, go ahead, Maria. Appreciate it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what is the world going on with Elon Musk? What is wrong with him?
Well,
it blew up yesterday.
You know what's wrong with him? You know out of all of the explanations, I think the one that is the best is the president's, because President Trump is involved and knows the situation better, and he said it's withdrawals from not being beside him in the Oval Office anymore, and I think that's true.
Yeah, I believe so too, because at the end of the day, I was really finna go, because I went on True Social yesterday and I was just posting. I was so angry with Eli. I said, are you kidding me? And then you trying to connect the president with Epstein? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because if that was the case, the Democrat would have made sure that was open up and everybody would have knew about it way before the campaign even started.
That's right.
And so it's no way you could connect the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, to that mess. And I just looking at social media, looking at some of these people, and you said it the other day, we have a lot of people claiming to be MAGA. I mean, you got a lot of people claiming to be on President Trump's side. Well, I found out yesterday that's just not true. That's just not true. It's a bunch of people that just joining in the campaign, through the electorate, and say, oh, I'm for Trump. No, you're not. You fake. And I called it out yesterday when I was looking at social media, and I said, you guys are so fake. Why won't you say what the
Democrats, but we didn't. You're right. Hey, Maria, I appreciate the call. And there were not any defections, like big defections. Like, we didn't smoke out any big fake MAGA yesterday, I noticed. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. This is, I'm from Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right.
Look, I have 3 questions. I'm going to make it 4. First of all, can I ask you one thing?
You just asked me a question.
About MAGA. I'm MAGA.
Okay.
I believe in making America. I actually am MAGA. I don't know if I want to make America great, period. I don't care if it's again or not. I just want it to be great. Because I have children. Man.
Okay, hold on. My phones are just ringing on. Call us on hold, stand by. We're here till 9. Okay, so what's your question?
All right. My first question is, before we hang up with each other, can you just be like, hey, man, look, we may disagree to agree or agree to disagree and just hang up, but not just hang up on me like that.
Well, you haven't said anything to agree or disagree with.
Can we do that?
Well, I don't know. It depends. I'm not going to agree to anything. No, I'm not. Well, you're asking. I'm not going to make you a co-host and just grant you co-host privileges. You're calling it.
This is your business.
Just ask your interesting questions.
All right. So today is Elon and Trump. their relationship, right? What's going on with them?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, man, and it's freaking me out, man. It's really freaking me out.
I thought you had questions. I mean, you don't have much. What are your?
Well,
you said you had 4 questions.
It's kind of like just talking questions, kind of thing.
No. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. Hey, listen. I appreciate the call. Take care. I'm moving on. I mean, he's got, What he wants to do is for me to make him the co-host and him ramble on with these incoherent ramblings until 9. That's not happening. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Colton, and I'm calling from Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
I'm working on it. Yep.
Go ahead, Colton.
I'm just curious what you think about Elon saying that Trump is on the Epstein list.
Well, I think a couple things. One, I think that we have 100% confirmation that that's not true.
And how would you have 100% confirmation that that's not true?
Okay. For the last 4 years in particular, it really heated up last year, the Democrats and the Never-Trumpers, people like you, Democrats and Never-Trumpers did everything they could to stop Trump from running, to disqualify him from running, to try to turn the MAGA people against him. They arrested him multiple times on bogus charges. They got mugshots on him. They sued him. They convicted him. They shot him in Butler, Pennsylvania. They tried to do it again at his golf course at Trump National in Palm Beach. And if he were on the Epstein list or in the Epstein files, before they went to all that trouble, especially shooting him in Butler, they would have released the information. And the fact that they never did is a 100% confirmation that anyone with any lick of common sense, which I'm sure you would claim to have, would acknowledge, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about it that way.
No, I definitely have thought about it that way, but why would they release something on him if it would...
Well, the reason the Never-Trump... Why did the Never-Trumpers shoot Trump in Butler? Hello, McFly. You there? Did you hear me? Have you given up? All right, that's Seattle for you. He gave up. All right, he hung up. I did not hang up on him. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Yep, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Lee. I'm from Pasadena, Texas.
All right, Lee, what's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I
Can you hear me?
I can. Turn the volume down on the device you're listening to me on. There's a delay.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to call and tell you that I enjoy your show so much. I've been watching that for 5 years, and everything you say is right on point, but one thing I got to say is Jay from Jersey is an idiot and a racist.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, he certainly is that. Yeah, and he's also unhinged. Well, thanks for the years of listening. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot for your devotion to Trump. He is awesome.
He sure is. All right, take care. All right. Well, good. All right, now I want to tell you guys about the free doorbell camera offer from Sloman's. I mean, if you've not taken advantage of this, please do. It's a great gift for your family. I mean, you're not just getting it for yourself. You're getting it for everyone inside your home. And also, you can take advantage of this offer as a gift to your children who no longer live with you, or to grandma or grandpa, or to your adult parents. This free doorbell camera offer, you can take advantage of this for anyone in your family, and it's absolutely amazing. Sloman's is going to give you a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. And that's not all. Sloman's, they're also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts for the doors and windows, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Give them a call, toll free, 833. Oh, that call sounds like he's going to be a winner. Did you hear the little grumbles when I answered the phone? Give Slomans a call. 1-833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. We'll be right back. All right. Yeah, if you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. Okay? Okay. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. If you're on hold, hang in there, people. There's one opening on the board. The list of the greatest presidents ever, there's only one great president. His name's Donald Trump. The others are posers that have had varying degrees of success. Yeah, I've lost track which line he was on, but we'll get to him. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, okay? This is where MAGA comes to talk. About 2 minutes, we'll be back. Really, I mean, Lincoln, about 1 million people were killed in the Civil War. You think Trump would have been able to mediate that a little bit better? I think he would have. Less than a minute. We'll be back. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to go right to the phones when we get back. By the way, this cup I'm drinking from, this is a cup. It's available in my wife's Etsy shop. This is an original design that my wife, Kathy, created. And there's a link to my wife's Etsy shop in the description of the video. So, guys, check that out. Support my wife. She's got all kinds of things with many different designs. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Of course, we're talking about the big breakdown of Elon Musk yesterday towards the greatest president ever, Donald Trump. There's one opening on our board at 1-888-4 465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Hey, Renee.
Yeah, what's up? Listen, I want to give a shout out to Jay from Jersey. Even when we disagree, I agree with him the most. In fact, he's the only one on your program that I don't have a problem with.
Oh, okay, yes. You guys bond by your hatred of Whitey, so I get that.
Just for your information, stupid, you're not white, you're red. Okay?
Okay, all right.
If you were white, you'd be dead.
Okay.
Okay? The Bible hates your gut, Esau. God hates you.
It is open phones today, open MAGA Mike Friday. So.
It ain't up to me.
Yes, is that all?
What?
Huh?
I got a lot to say, but you're so busy interrupting.
I'm waiting. I'm listening.
If you were white, you'd be dead.
Huh?
Okay, you're red. That's why they call you a redneck.
A redneck? I'm a redneck?
Yes, you're a redneck. That's what they call you, isn't it?
No, I've not been called a redneck before.
You've never been called a redneck.
Just now.
That's amazing. You know, your own people call you redneck. What, are you stupid?
Being in Harlem, you probably don't encounter many rednecks. I'm in the deep south of Florida, and I'm furthest from a redneck as possible.
When you get a chance to get one of you, we beat the crap out of you.
Yes.
All right. Like that.
Okay. All right. Take care, Renee from Harlem. It is Open MAGA Mike Friday. Anything and everything on your mind is fair game, even just trying to get your frustrations out on your life towards me. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. My two questions, actually. I'm not going to pound you about Elon, but I do have a question. First question, have you heard that Caroline Leavitt is leaving the White House?
No. I mean, I just did from you. I mean, I guess, tell you, where did you hear that?
On the news somewhere.
What news? No, you're just making stuff up. Where on the news did you hear that? Eventually she'll leave. Where on the news did you hear that?
Okay. It was like TikTok or something.
TikTok. That's somebody making garbage up. TikTok's not the news, man.
Okay. Okay.
Eventually she'll leave. Everybody's leaving at some point, right?
Okay. Well, this is a more credible source. Curtis Yardman. According to Curtis Yardman, I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's suggesting that Elon Musk is going to locate this young lady that made the allegations against Trump.
That's another. I don't know who that person is you're talking about, but
you don't know who Curtis Yardman is.
I have no idea.
You don't. Curtis Yardman.
No. You can say the name. I've never heard the name before.
Seriously?
No, Curtis Yarvin? Never heard of him.
Curtis Yardman is one of the biggest conservative commentators there. Seriously?
Never heard of him.
You could pick up the phone and call Donald Trump right now.
Oh, okay.
You could pick up he's close friends with J.D. Vance.
Oh, okay.
He and Elon Musk are very close friends. They're like besties.
Well, I guess what did he say?
Well, according to Curtis Yardman, Elon Musk is going to locate the young lady that made the allegations against Trump.
If he's talking that way, he's no friend with Trump, JD, or the Trump family. He's a liar. I had that. You've said two things, both of them just completely made up by people. I told. Excuse me, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I told the last caller what I'm going to tell you, but maybe you didn't hear it. We know with 100% certainty that Donald Trump is not on the Epstein list. We know. It's 100% certain he's not. Okay. You agree with that?
Okay. Well, do I? He's innocent until proven guilty. I'm not going to say he's on the Epstein.
Listen, if he was on the Epstein list, don't you think the Never Trumpers would have released that before they took the high-risk move of shooting him?
Good point with that. I think that
I make
was
a good
legitimate
on that point. This guy, he just makes stuff up. He says he heard them. He's the guy that called in yesterday. I'm from Elise Stefanik's district. Remember that? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Seattle again. This is
listen, Colt. It's one call per show, but since you're new, Colt, I'll give you a break.
I appreciate it. Yeah, the call dropped, so that's why I was just calling you back. So basically, I just wanted to say I understand, just picking up where we left off, I understand your point that the Democrats would have, or the thought process is the Democrats would have released this information on Trump if he was on the Epstein list. But why would the Biden administration release it if they're too on the list?
You don't have to release the whole list. You don't have to release the whole list. Why do you not? Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. I'm very interested because we've never talked before. What's your beef with Trump? What's your beef with Trump?
I don't have. I voted for Trump. I think Trump was the best out of the options. I'm just starting to look at the preponderance of evidence. I think it's interesting that he hired. I think it's interesting that he hired Pam Bondi, who was the attorney general in Florida that gave Epstein the sweetheart deal.
That's not true. That's not true. That is not true. That is not true. That's a liberal urban legend. That was with the guy that was attorney general. That was with the prosecutor that handled the case, not her. She wasn't overseeing the case. She was giving. Yeah, he was given a deal by somebody else, not Pam Bondi. She had nothing to do with that case.
It was Alexander Acosta because he hired Alexander Acosta.
But she was not. She was not handling the case. That's just not true.
I believe you. I believe you. Another thing I think is interesting is that he hired Alan Dershowitz.
And she was not. She wasn't even attorney general then. Alan Dershowitz, excuse me. Alan, what's your beef with Alan Dershowitz? Do you not like Jews?
Oh, I don't have a problem with Jews. I'm Jewish.
Then what? Well, that doesn't mean you don't have a problem with Jews. Alan Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz is one of the most probably is the most famous living attorney in America, and So why would you not hire him?
I just think that there's a lot of connections to Epstein, and I think that who would the global banksters and CIA?
The global bankers? See, back to the Jews. You may be a Jew, but if you are, you're a self-hating Jew. Hey, Colt, appreciate the call. Call me again sometime, but not again today. Let me see, what time is it? Do I have time for more calls? Let me look at the clock here. Hold on. I do. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hold on. Hey, it's Rabbi David. Hello.
Hey, Rabbi. How you doing?
Okay. Just wanted to mention with the Elon Trump thing, I think the real headline here is, and all the stations should cover it, even the liberal stations, is that Trump doesn't give out favors even to friends. That's the headline.
That's true.
Okay, that all along everyone said, oh, he's going to give Elon his buddy. All the liberal stations were carrying on about what he's going to do for his buddy. And in Trump's mind, it doesn't matter if you're my best friend. I'm not going to do you first. It's America first. And I think Elon isn't in that mindset as strong as Trump is. And he thought that, my buddy's going to give me everything. And his on the spectrum mind, because he is a little bit on the spectrum, just lost it because he thought he's not being loved by his friend. But his friend, Trump, loves America first.
In fact,
that's what's going on.
I think it's a mix of what you said as well as what what I was talking about, that he's going through. Like yesterday was a big day. President Trump had that long conversation with the president of China and Putin. Last Thursday, Elon would have been a part of that conversation. And he wasn't, and he's got withdrawals from being, in his mind, he was the co-president. And he's going through withdrawals from that, too, even though he's the richest man in the world. Right. And it's a mix of that and what you said, Rabbi. I agree.
Right.
Let me ask, since I got you on the line, I'd like to hear your thoughts, Rabbi, about this god-awful jihadi attack on the Jews in Boulder, including one being a Holocaust survivor. And this is... Anti-Semitism is at its highest level in this country in my lifetime.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be out there speaking at the end of June in Boulder, of all places. I think we are witnessing either something that was that's there all along. The Jews in general should never be surprised that there's anti-Semitism. The Spanish Inquisition, the Holocaust, the pogroms. I mean, every generation we think, oh, look, we're everybody loves us, but it doesn't take very much to scratch the surface. And
but Rabbi,
out,
listen,
to step on you.
I was talking to Renee from Harlem. He hates white people, but what we have is almost an industry of anti-Semitism, and what I'm seeing is much like this is like the rise of the Nazis in Germany in the 30s. This is very dangerous, and if it's not stopped, is the beginning of the worst that the Jews have faced since the end of the Second World War, in my opinion, because this anti-Semitism has just been embedded through the universities into so many millions of young people. On top of the Muslims they bring in.
It's very interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that because it's young people, 100%, and when you see other demonstrations, it's old people.
Yes.
They whoever's doing this, a kind of deep state in and of itself,
yeah.
anti-Semitic.
Rabbi, I've got 5 seconds, but I appreciate the call. Take care. I'm up against the top of the hour.
My pleasure.
All right, take care. Take care. He's on his way to Colorado. We'll be right back. All right. If you're new, we're on the radio, on a bunch of radio stations. And these breaks are radio station breaks. This is our top of the hour break for our radio stations. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number's pinned in the live chat. And the callers, some of them are people watching on YouTube. Some of them are people listening on the radio and other platforms that carry the program. Okay, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys. We'll be back shortly. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm taking the calls in the order in which they were received, to the best of my ability to do that. And on Friday's show, it is always open phones. You can call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday's show. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. One minute, we'll be back. We're live weekday mornings from 6 until 9 a.m. Eastern Time, taking live calls. But I'm on YouTube all the time. Plus, my podcast, the Brian Craig Show podcast, I do upload here as well, those of you who are new. Welcome back, everyone. Hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Of course, we're talking about the mental break from reality that Elon Musk had, and I've shared some of my thoughts, but not too many. I'll share them maybe as the show goes on, but let's go back to the phones. I am taking the calls in the order in which they were received to the best of my ability. I lose track sometimes, but if you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. And remember, it is open phones on Friday, right? Monday through Thursday, you got to call in about what we're talking about. On Friday, the show preps up to you guys. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. So you don't have to comment on the Elon break from reality yesterday. You can talk about anything on your mind on Friday's show. Okay, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Sandra from Boca. How are you?
All right, Sandra. How are you?
Good. So this whole thing about Elon Musk and President Trump, if I can be totally honest with you, I questioned his loyalty to Trump from the beginning. I really did. I thought during the campaign, I said, that's a nice match. I said, that's great. But then once he got inside, I really questioned it. You know, based on a couple things that I saw, like that day they had that meeting in the Oval Office where his kid was kind of mouthing off to Trump, and you could see Trump wasn't happy, but he was tolerating it.
That was AI, man. Unless you saw it, I saw that live. There was a video that was edited using AI that was fake, that showed Elon's son X saying terrible things to the president. That was not real. That's AI.
Well, that's good to know because I didn't know that.
No, it's not. It was very good, wasn't it? I mean, don't feel bad. It was very convincing. I mean, this AI should be outlawed. I mean, yeah. And I watched the thing live, so the first time I saw it, I knew because I watched it live. But yeah, that was AI.
Well, what do you think actually is the root cause of why Elon has
this is what I said earlier, okay? And this is a little addition to what the president said. President Trump said when he was with the German chancellor yesterday, and don't forget, the German chancellor has Hitler's old job, who was also chancellor of Germany. And I'll tell you about best friends. Benedict Arnold was one of General Washington's best friends, and he portrayed George Washington, okay? So these things happen. President Trump said, and this is from the first term, people leave the White House, and then they wake up the next day, and they're not in the Oval Office. Elon Musk had a position that no one has had with the president of the United States, including a first lady. He was with President Trump every moment that he was awake. He was standing next to him behind the Resolute desk. He was taking the lead, and given this privilege by the president, in cabinet meetings, being treated higher than a cabinet member. And remember those live cabinet meetings? They were reporting to that, well, I've been speaking with Elon about this. The cabinet was reporting to him. Yesterday, before this blow-up, Mike Johnson said, I'm going to be calling Elon Musk right now, before this blow-up happened. Elon has been in the Situation Room with him every time he's gone in there.
So what went wrong?
Okay, this is what went wrong. It's a week ago today that he left the White House. He's having withdrawals. The way I described this in the first hour, and I know this is not the best analogy, but it's the best one I can think of. He had this special thing where he could be employed for 130 days. This is some government rule. What's happened to Elon is if someone were doing lines of cocaine all day, all night, 24 hours a day for 130 days, and then they wake up one day and they've been cut off from their cocaine. He had a break from reality over the withdrawal of not being the co-president. And he had a mental break from it. That's it. I mean, I think it's obvious. But, here's the thing with Elon Musk. And he has a conference call today scheduled with the president. This is dangerous for a number of reasons. He's the richest man in the world. There's three things about him. This is not like when Scaramucci was pissed off and went on CNN and told Anderson Cooper what a jerk he thought Trump was, or Omarosa doing interviews when she got fired. He's the richest man in the world, and there's some things that he has that make him a danger. One, he launches rockets into outer space almost every day of the week, from Florida, Texas, and California. He's had somebody that's that unstable. Should they have that kind of control at their fingertips? Second, he owns outright. There's no board on this. He owns outright the largest media outlet that's ever existed with X. Okay? So between having rockets that can land anywhere in the world and having the media outlet he can do damage, he's the richest man in the world, not by a little bit either. The second richest alternates between a couple people, Bezos and who's that weirdo that owns Facebook? I forgot his name offhand. Those are the second richest people, and they rotate, right? But Elon is twice as rich as they are, right? He has twice the money they have. So he's the richest man by far. He could lay out $2 billion without blinking and use it backing Democrats in the next election, in the midterms. So he is very dangerous, Elon Musk, if he is mentally unglued. And he's not mentally healthy. The way he behaved yesterday, he had a mental break. No doubt. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what do you think?
But the thing is that it's one thing to have a mental break, Brian, and it's another thing to try to damage the president. Walk away, but why you?
He wasn't trying to damage the president. He was trying to destroy him. The Epstein, destroy the man.
It's like, okay, you were friends with him for months, and all of a sudden you're bringing up Epstein, and you're doing all these different. I mean, you're right. He's unhinged. There's something wrong there. Because like, walk away. You want to disagree, and not only that, President Trump said something very telling yesterday, because I was listening to him, and he said he knew what was in this bill. Don't think he didn't know what was in this bill. He knew it.
Well, because that's not the problem. Usually what I find on a smaller scale, like in relationships, when people that are friends or married couples, when they have a beef, whatever they're arguing about isn't really what they're pissed off about. There's something underlying that. And Steve Bannon said something that a lot of people think is crazy, but I don't necessarily think that. Steve Bannon, he said a lot yesterday, but one thing Steve Bannon said yesterday is President Trump should seize SpaceX last night. And when you're as mentally unhinged as Elon Musk, should he have control of a fleet of rockets?
Yeah, I agree. And he said, if he wasn't, he wouldn't be the president if he didn't have my support.
And I'll tell you, this is going to sound nuts. Now, he may get his act together today during this conversation. Maybe he needs some medication that he missed, or maybe they'll put him on something. But if he's still unhinged, I would say Elon's rockets are more dangerous than what they're talking about with Iran right now.
It could be. You don't know what people are capable of, so I can agree with that. Mm-hmm. You never know. So, but anyway, let's hope he gets it together, like you said.
Yeah, let's hope.
Because it's very uncomfortable to see the richest man in the world making these kinds of comments. What does he care?
With rockets and the largest reach in media in the history of humanity with X, he could destroy the world. This guy.
Well,
I mean, I'm telling you.
I never really trusted him. I never had a lot of confidence.
Listen, nobody could have predicted this. It's one thing to have your concerns, okay? But who could predict this? All right, appreciate the call. Good points. Right. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our first break of the second hour. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, Dr. Zuckerman yesterday, he tweeted me a video of someone from another radio station who used to be, I texted back Dr. Zuckerman. I said, oh, they were my boss back in 1990 something. And I was trying to remember what year it was, but they were like my boss in like 95 or 6 or something. I can't remember exactly. 94, somewhere. Been a long time. And they've lost over 80, almost 90 pounds thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And I've heard from many listeners in this audience, both men and women, who have lost a lot of weight thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It works. And, you know, the cool thing about it is you're eating foods that you would normally eat, and you're not taking prescription medication like Ozempic, and you're not hungry all the time. So you're not out there starving yourself, which is one of the concerns I had. You know, I enjoy some foods. There's some things I enjoy. And if I had to cut out the things that I truly enjoy, like I'm not going to go through a list, but if I had to cut them out, I would be destined to fail. But with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I didn't have to do that. So I didn't have all these urges for things that I couldn't touch or couldn't eat or anything else. And it's worked. I've lost about 40 pounds, guys. And I'm pretty confident I'm going to stay where I'm at now. But that's a lot of weight for me. And I feel so good. I feel so good. I feel healthier. Right? I have more energy. And I got to tell you, it feels good to look good. When I look in the mirror in the morning, when I'm brushing my teeth and I don't have a shirt on, and I see that I have a flat stomach for the first time since I was like 20-something years old, it feels good at 54 years old to have the body I had at 22 years old. And that's not a stretch. It feels good. I feel good about myself. Not just physically do I feel better, but I feel better about myself, which makes my days a little bit better too, I must tell you. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. And I'm so glad that I met them now because, you know, I would have kept gaining weight. So not only did I lose all this weight, I stopped gaining. Guys, I got to tell you, those of you who were with us at Wings Plus on Inauguration Day and took photos with me, please delete those photographs. I don't want to see them, and I don't want anyone to think that's what I look like. Because that's before I lost the weight, and I did not look well. I needed to lose weight. I really did. And it stopped a progression, because if I had not met Dr. Zuckerman and Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I would have just kept gaining. And so I stopped gaining, and I lost all that weight. Here's the number, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. Every line on the board is full. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. No, I take that back. You know, I added a bunch of lines, and I forgot about them, and they're lighting up now, too. Wow. I forgot about all these new lines that we added. I have more lines in this studio than I have had at any studio I've ever worked at, and to see them fill up, thanks. I really appreciate the support, guys. Wow. It's just amazing. I added all these new lines. And I don't always turn them all on. And I was testing them out yesterday, and I turned them all on, and to see them lit up, it's just amazing. We'll be back shortly. If you're new to the program, make sure you subscribe. This is a radio station break. Yeah, I mean, President Trump, he said it. Yeah, he had to let him go because he was yelling at Susie Wiles. It was, Tell me in the chat, yes or no. Do you believe Elon's story that X gave him the black eye? Or do you think it was somebody that works at the White House? I mean, what do you think? Was it someone at the White House or X that gave him the black eye? White House or X? Those are the two answers. You can go WH or X, or just W. W or X. Who gave him the black eye? Someone said Stephen Miller. Welcome back, everyone. It is Friday, the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. My name is Brian Craig, and, of course, we're talking about the Elon break from reality. There's one opening on the board, and before we go to the phones, I just want to say this to you guys in the audience. I added a bunch of new lines to the studio, and in this studio, we have more phone lines than I have ever had at any studio I've worked out of. It's a lot. More than some of the national shows. There's only one opening on the board. It's absolutely amazing. And it's just, I just want to thank everyone, and I on behalf of Steve Kane too, for your support of this program. To look down at a, I'm not going to tell you how many lines, but it's more than a lot of national shows. I'm not exaggerating by that. And probably more than the national shows. I got a deal. And all of them are now lit. That's amazing. I really appreciate your support, guys. I know Steve Kane does too. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I really appreciate it.
You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Right on. This is Mike. I've called you once before, and let me turn this stuff down because I think I'd get on this soon.
I can put you back on hold if you'd like. I can put you on hold if you'd like. I didn't take you in the order.
Good.
I didn't take the calls in the order in which they were received because I've lost track. But if you want to hold longer, I can put you back on hold.
Oh, nope. I'm ready to go. Let's talk about gold, Brian.
No, we're not talking. You know, that's one of the rules, and you know better. I knew there was an attitude with him from the beginning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Ricky. I'm from Western Maryland.
All right. What's up, Western Maryland?
I think I have a feeling Musk is supported secretly with the Democrats.
Okay.
It's got that feeling.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not, because he's got the he makes Soros look poor, right? He's the richest man in the world, the richest man who's ever lived. So he literally could spend multi-billions on the Democrats. midterm election campaign if he chose to. So I hope you're wrong.
I just don't trust him right now.
No, how can you trust him? I mean, he did not sound sane yesterday. He was not lucid. He was completely unhinged.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate the call from Western Massachusetts. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Katina from Baltimore.
Hey, Katina.
Thank you for taking my call. I agree with you about his mental breakdown, Elon Musk's mental breakdown. I was wondering if it was ever going to happen because of his Asperger's syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know too much about Asperger's. I mean, if anybody does it sound like he didn't take his meds or what? I mean, what would cause?
Well, with all the pressure from the media, from the left, and just from his own businesses and his family, he's involved with custody for X all the time. And the Asperger's, from what I've experienced, they're very focused on certain things. And when he was looking at the bill and saw that the Doge cuts weren't included, I think that, was the
triggering the trigger. Yeah. I
don't think he's
sadly, I must say, sadly, because of my line of a tantrum. Yeah, and this is more than the richest man in the world didn't get his way, because the businesses that he's in, he's had to cooperate with people from governments, with Starlink, with the space program, and things. And so he's had to deal with governments before and answering to people and boards and everything else. This is a mental break. And the problem is, how do you do an intervention for the richest man in the world? It's not easy.
No, but it's for the professionals, right? And
well, I'll tell you, like Elvis Presley, okay, who was a big drug addict. Oh, yeah. Red West, who was part of Elvis's Memphis Mafia, who went on to be an actor. Red West, he was in Black Sheep Squadron. Remember that television show? He was also in Roadhouse. Yes. He was the mechanic. Yes. He was in Roadhouse. He was the guy that owned the auto parts store with in Roadhouse. And I heard him tell a story. He got fired by Elvis. He was one of the Memphis Mafia bodyguards, and he broke the foot. Mm-hmm. He broke the foot of Elvis's drug dealer by shutting the door on his foot, and Elvis fired him for cutting off his drugs. And when you have rich and famous, powerful people, that is a superpower, and it's very hard to the money and the celebrity, especially the richest man in the world. When somebody has a mental break, you can't do an intervention like you can your drunken uncle, and he's very it's dangerous. This is dangerous.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it rests on the Asperger's, and they're used to he's used to getting his way, like you're saying, because he's rich and powerful. But with Asperger's, they are so focused on whatever they're doing, and it has to get done. And they can have the most horrible tantrums.
Well, how long could it last? Is this like a 48-hour thing, or could it last like 48 days? I mean, how long could this tantrum last?
Well, did he extend his hand to Trump, or was it Trump?
He said on X, someone posted on X that Trump and Elon should make up, and he said you're right. And then we heard they've had this call scheduled today, but that call may not happen, and even if it does, it may not do anything.
If Elon said that yes, then he's back in control. He's starting to control himself. Yeah. That's been my experience.
See, when Trump fired Omarosa and Scaramucci, all they could do was go on The View or something and say terrible things. This guy, because
that was all ego.
Yes, but
that's
Elon,
all ego and jealousy.
Elon has
Elon is something different.
He has unlimited wealth.
sorry.
He has enough money to. He could spend, if he wanted to, he could spend $5 to $10 billion helping the Democrats in the midterms. He could do it. He could get the cash together.
Yeah,
He's got the number one media outlet ever, and he also has the ability to. He's a greater. He's potentially a greater threat than Iran between his rockets and his control over the internet with with his internet service that so many millions around the world use and depend on. He's almost like like a nation state.
Well, that's a fear, and that has to be explained to him. And he's not crazy. I'm telling you, I think it's just it's like a child. He didn't get his way.
Yeah.
And you can reason, but besides that, he's not a child, and he's adult, and he's the wealthiest man in the world. He's a genius. He's our first, Einstein, so to speak, and he can be reasoned with.
But I don't know. But
maybe he took too much Adderall. I don't know. Maybe he didn't take enough.
I don't know if we've dealt, and I don't want to. I don't think I'm exaggerating here, with all the things that Elon has on top of unlimited wealth and money,
Exactly.
and he could raise money from people too that hate Trump and everything else. He could cause more trouble as an individual easier than even Putin. Putin, while he's a dictator and does terrible things, there's still some checks and balances on him just a little bit, because he's got to give orders. People got to carry that. What if he switched off Starlink? What if they had one of the rockets go in the wrong direction? Or what if he turned X against Trump? I mean, he's potentially as dangerous as a rogue nation. And I'm telling you, I know that's crazy, and I have loved him, and I know, and MAGA has loved him. But what I'm telling you is, I think he had a problem, like you're saying, a break from reality. But he's got to be reined in and taken care of with his health issues, because he's too rich and powerful to be unglued like this.
Well, one thing we can all agree on, Trump has had more than his share, of burdens and of problems, and this is like another one. But I haven't had my espresso.
That's okay.
So anyway.
Well, listen, I got a break anyway,
but,
Katina, but I agree with everything you've said.
Great talking with you.
All right,
Great show.
All right, take
Thank
care.
you.
And anyone else who has Asperger experience, I'd welcome your call. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be right back. Hey. All right, I'm going to put you on hold. We're in the bottom of the hour, okay? Okay. Steve, you there?
I'm here.
All right, we got just over a little more than a minute.
No drops, please.
All right. We got just over a minute. We'll be back.
Okay.
Have you been listening?
Not too much. I mean,
you missed
yes
something.
and no.
Okay.
I know what's going on.
All right. Okay, stand by. We are back. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning. Let's do something the opposite of what we usually do. Let me tell you where I tuned out, and that'll tell you, at what stage my knowledge is. I watched Sean Hannity last night. At the end of his show, I went to sleep. So that's what I'm up to.
Well, I don't know what I wasn't watching Hannity, so I don't know what he was talking about, covering.
Well, when I tuned out, the split had occurd, and they were finished with each other.
Well, okay. What happened? I got to tell. Okay. Let's take a couple. Some of these people have been holding on for. Let's take a couple calls on this, and then as we go on, I'll get you up to speed, Steve. How about that? Does that work? All right. Let's go. Let's take some of these. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Mark from the great city of Randolph, New York. How are you doing today?
All right.
Good.
What's up? Yeah.
First, I just want to say that my heart goes out to the people of Boulder, Colorado, especially the Jewish community. What that animal did, I think that, death isn't, enough for that guy, and his family definitely deserves to be deported. You can't live in a house with people and not know what happened.
Yes.
What happened on October 7th was absolutely disgusting, created out by a group of animals that, I don't understand how they call themselves religious at all. But we equate all Palestinians with Hamas, which is, I don't think that's correct. All liberals are not conservatives, but we all live in the okay,
then maybe, I don't know, maybe, from Randolph, New York, maybe you have insight that we don't have in the real world. Who is the prominent, reasonable Palestinian person?
Who is the what?
I said, who is the prominent, well-known, reasonable Palestinian person?
I don't know of any significant.
Why? Well, why do you think? Why do you think that? Why do you think? Okay, so why do you think that is?
I don't really know. Maybe they don't.
Because that individual does not exist. There's no such person.
Okay, so if liberals started a war with, say, Russia, and that spilled over into
no, we're not talking about. We're talking about what's really happened. What mainstream prominent Muslim has condemned the attack on the Jews of Boulder, Colorado?
I'm not sure that there is any.
There you go. That's it. Well, there you go. There you go.
Well, the children. Why are the children being punished for this? They have nothing to do with what their parents' sins are.
Did you, Steve? Slow down. Steve, I may have missed this. Steve, maybe you know. Children have been punished for the attack on Jews in Boulder. I missed that.
I Are you missing? Do you know CTV or anything like that? I'm sure you only see
CTV?
conservative news.
What is CTV?
Do you see TV?
What?
Do you watch television?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Steve.
I assume when I came rushing in that you were talking about what seemed to be the major.
Yeah, I will. I want to. Yeah, we'll move on. We'll move on. We'll move on from the guy. I'll take that. All right. Well, let me do a recap so we can get back on speed. Okay. I'm not sure.
I thought the story was Elon and Trump.
Well, Friday is open phones, you know. But
well, yeah, but
that guy has
exception for
that guy has an agenda. That guy has an agenda. Let me take another call. We are trying to keep it on the Elon dust up, okay? Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Okay. Yeah, let me turn down my phone.
Oh, yes.
And I got a baby in the room today.
Oh, a baby.
Jay from Jersey.
Hey, Jay.
Well, I heard you say earlier, who predicted this? Let me see. Me, and I told it on your show.
Oh, you're a psychic? You're a tarot card reader?
Yeah, I'm a psychic, because I told you, and when they won the election.
You know, listen,
Yeah,
if you
I'm psycho. Yeah, that too.
you know,
That
listen,
too, Steve.
Jay,
I'm psycho.
Jay, if you disagree with Trump on everything, maybe once in a decade, broken clock might be accurate on the time once in a decade. Whatever you predicted was just a coincidence.
Oh, but did it happen?
What happened?
That they were going to fall out. Did it happen?
I'm not so sure they are falling out.
Yeah, they fell out. And you said that he said something about the Epstein files. It's been out that Trump was on the Epstein files. This ain't new.
No,
this is not new.
Liberal slanderers like you may have said that, but he's not been in any files. We know with 100% accuracy that Donald Trump is not on the Epstein list. It's 100% known. Do you know how we know this?
You 100% said that this Bud thing was going to be cool till the end, too.
Well, they have a phone call today. They have a phone call today. They may make up, but we know with 100% certainty Donald Trump is not on the Epstein list. How do we know that?
Okay.
How do we know that?
Okay. Steve, I need
No,
to
he doesn't. I'm going to tell
because...
He doesn't want to say, Steve. If he were,
what you want me to ask?
if he were on the list, the Democrats would have released it last year when they were on.
But it's been out. That's not.
No, it has
we
not.
Knew that.
No, there's been no list out from Epstein with him on it. No.
Okay. Can I ask Steve a question? Because you won't answer it. Because I'm gonna ask Steve this question because I've asked Brian this question 3 times. Okay. Did you know that Trump changed the flag?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. If you go to any government website, Trump has changed our United States flag until a red. He changed it to a red, white, and blue.
Let's assume that's true. So what?
Why would he do that? And Steve and Brian said it's illegal.
We're just assuming that for the sake of discussion.
But it's true. Go to any government website.
Tell me one to look up.
And the flag is changed.
We're into that for the sake of discussion. So what's your point?
Why is he allowed to change the government? Y'all love that flag so much, you stick it to everything y'all got. Why was he allowed to change it?
Get sober, all right?
Yeah, get sober. Okay, all right. You want me to let him go, Steve, so he can...
Idiots all the way down.
I want to talk about what's really going on here. I don't know what this guy's mumbling about.
All right, well, let's talk, okay? Let me get you up to speed on the Elon mess, and then we will break, and we have Attorney Barry Siegel. And we got something coming up with Barry Siegel we got to talk about today. Obviously, Elon had a break from reality, and President Trump gave the explanation yesterday when he was sitting with the man who has the job that Adolf Hitler once had, the Chancellor of Germany. And when he had his press conference with the Chancellor of Germany, he said when people leave the administration and they wake up the next day and they're not in this beautiful office, it's difficult for them. And Elon Musk has had access that no one has ever had except a president, right? He was with the president behind the Resolute desk every time. He was on phone calls with foreign leaders with the president.
All right, okay.
He was in the Situation Room, everything. He was in his mind, he was like a co-president. This Elon, this one, and he's got this Asperger's, which is, I don't know too much about it, but it causes mental breaks. They have this law where he could only work there for 130 days without going through a bunch of hoops. And the way I describe it, as like yesterday, President Trump had an hour-and-a-half conversation with the president of China, and then Putin, another conversation. A week ago, with the Thursday before, Elon would have been part of those conversations. And the way I describe it, Steve, and again, this may not be the best explanation, but it's the best one I could think of. Being in broadcasting, Steve and I have known people that have done cocaine. Not me. I'm not one of these drug addicts, but, we're in the radio. Back in the day, remember that one traffic reporter we had, Steve? Oh, my goodness. That worked with us in Miami. He was on something. Yeah. But the way that Elon is dealing with is like somebody was on a cocaine bender for 130 days, and now their cocaine's been cut off. Like and he's had a complete withdrawal.
The last thing I know about development I know about was the big fight they had.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So he had like a withdrawal from being the co-president, and he freaked out yesterday. Okay.
Well, I know that.
And he started being critical of Trump. And then when Trump was asked about this, when he was with the German chancellor, Trump was kind for Trump with these things, but he said some things about Elon and his problems. And Elon had a mental break from reality at that moment, went on X and said Donald Trump is on the Epstein list. And that started a series of events that went like dominoes throughout the afternoon and evening. Then, late last night, after I went to bed, but I woke up, I couldn't sleep because of this. I was so upset. I got up at midnight. Been up since midnight. They have scheduled a phone conversation today between Elon and Trump. And Elon has acknowledged that they need to make up. So let's see if that happens today. That's where we are.
All right. Well, can I pick up the ball where you are?
After the break, because we got to take a break and then talk with Attorney Barry Siegel.
Take a break at this point.
Okay, we'll be right back with Attorney Barry Siegel. Hey, Barry, it's Brian. Hold on. Steve, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm going to conference Barry in. Okay, so stand by. All right, Barry, we'll be back shortly.
Okay.
Just over a minute.
Okay.
$30 seconds.
All right.
We are back. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane here, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing today?
Good. And Steve, Barry's doing something. I don't know if you've ever done this. If you have, it's been a long time. You've got a Saturday workshop coming up at your Boca Raton office we got to talk about before you go. But what do you have for us this morning?
Yeah, it has been a long time since we've done any workshops on a Saturday. But by popular demand, we're being asked by many people who can't make it during the week. So we're going to do that. And we've also had many people ask for us to do one specifically on Medicaid. And it's also been a while since we've done that as well. So we are doing that June 21st. That's a Saturday morning, of course, 10 a.m. in our Boca Raton office. And really, for any of you out there who are either concerned about a loved one, like a spouse, a parent, or any other loved one, maybe that person's already receiving care and paying for care, or is on the verge of needing care and having to pay for care, the question becomes, how are we going to pay for it? Of course, if you don't have long-term care insurance, you don't have enough long-term care insurance, then the other options are either spending your own money and potentially working your way down to being broke, or drastically changing the lifestyle that you have or the lifestyle you leave behind for your loved one, for your spouse and your family. So that is what this is all about, because the other option is to qualify for Medicaid. So this seminar is going to dismiss a lot of the myths that are out there. A lot of people think, oh, I have too much money, I have too much income, I can't qualify, that's not for me. You only go into terrible facilities if you have to go to a facility if you're on Medicaid. All of these things aren't true, and we're going to go in depth into all of these things so that you have the right information. And this is also for people who may not be in a situation where you or a loved one is needing care now, but you want to make sure that you're prepared in the future. This is also for you. So June 21st, 10 a.m., Boca Raton. Call our office. Seats are limited.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the thing about Saturday, this is a great thing, because I can't remember you doing a Saturday, one of these before, certainly not specifically for the Medicaid planning. A lot of seniors these days work, so it helps. But I find when I go to your workshops, Barry, and I've been to many of them, a lot of times adult children come and with their parents, sometimes without, but a lot of times with their parents, because adult children understand that it doesn't just help mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, but it helps them too. So those of you that work during the week, this is a very rare opportunity. I do not have a recollection of the Siegel Law Group ever doing a Saturday workshop. I mean, I'm sure you have, but I just don't remember. So this is one you will not want to miss, because who knows when the next one will come around on a Saturday. All right. And this is at your main office in Boca on Military Trail.
It is.
Okay. Give the Siegel Law Group a call and reserve your seat. 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week.
All right. You guys have a great weekend.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, Steve. All right. So you up to speed on what's happened with Elon and the president?
I'm up to speed, but I think we're at the point where what's interesting is, where do we go from here?
Well, it's got to be resolved. This is
it's going to be resolved. I mean, that's what I would predict. I don't think there's any question that it's going to be resolved, because both of these guys need each other. And when they realize that, they take some time out, as we used to say when we were raising children, time out. Remember that? When they take some time out, they're going to realize that they can't accomplish with anyone else what they can accomplish with each other.
Yeah.
And that they have this is important, they have a common enemy. When they realize that, they're going to bury the hatchet. And I don't know how long it'll take. Could take a week or two.
It could be 30 seconds.
I see them getting back together.
Well, what happened...
They don't. They're too smart not to.
Well, there's a couple of things to factor in, Steve, okay? And let me tell you, I was following this all day and night, okay? And it was one-sided. Trump wasn't going after Elon. He was being as polite as possible. This was not...
Leon was the one that had the blow-up.
Well, it's not I wouldn't say it's a blow-up. I think he had a mental break.
Elon was a blow up.
He had a mental break. It was
yes.
And this Asperger's thing, I don't know too much about it, but this is what I was trying to tell you, Steve. If he comes out of this mental issue, it'll be resolved. If not, Elon.
He's going to come out of it.
I hope so, and I hope he already has. Because of Elon's being the richest man in the world, he's twice as rich as the second richest man. He has a fleet of rockets, and he controls the most influential and largest media platform in the history of the planet. If he is on a vendetta, he's more dangerous than Iran in many ways. And let's just hope that he comes out of this mental break, and hopefully President Trump, as his friend, can do an intervention and get him the help that he needs to stop another break from reality.
Obviously, President Trump is the sane one at this point.
Yes. Well, there's what I was talking to a caller right before you came on, Steve. There's been people that left during the first term, Scaramucci and Omarosa, are as an example. And they went on CNN and MSNBC and The View and ripped Trump. They just were barking nonsense. Elon Musk could spend $5 or $10 billion backing Democrats in the midterms without blinking. He's that rich. And
the bottom line is they have a common enemy, and when Elon realizes that, he's going to snap out of it.
If he snaps out of it, but if he's had a mental break that continues, that's a problem. Yeah, but the fact that he seems willing to have this conversation shows that he's coming out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Now,
shows that he realizes what I just said.
Now, if anyone has any Asperger's knowledge or experience, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Now, I don't want to hear your personal history or your child's history or your history with it, but I want to know: do people with Asperger's have these mental breaks where they go nuts like he did?
The question we want to deal with this morning is how this is going to play out.
Well, that's what I want to know. If it's Asperger's, if you have an Asperger's incident, is it like a one-day thing, or does it last for 6 months? I don't know. All right, you want to go back to the phones?
Yes.
All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Timothy. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, Atlanta.
Yeah, I used to live in Boca Raton, listen to your guys' show since 2010. I just called your guys' show a debate. I was on the opposite side. But I want to express my appreciation to you and Steve. You guys helped me come around. And I'm now considering myself MAGA, big
Awesome.
time supporter of Trump. And
What's your name? I didn't hear your name. What's your name?
My name is Timothy.
Oh,
I met you guys before.
You used to call us and give us a hard time, and now you're MAGA. That's awesome.
Yeah, I used to support, I think Obama was president. I think he was coming into his second term. And I've grown to resent that I voted for him, all the policies he pushed out during the second term. And I actually listened to your show quite a bit. I feel like I've been educated, learned a lot. Now I started to go back and question some of the views I had in the past.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, you're the best call of the week, and I want to tell you why. A lot of people say, why do you talk to these liberal jerks all the time? You used to be one of those liberal jerks, right? And, sometimes, you wake people up, and you've been magnetized. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can definitely say that. I mean, it's a big break away from my family and a lot of my friends, but I think I see the light now, and I'm hoping there are other people like me.
What's the word? What's the word on the streets in Atlanta? Or is Atlanta MAGA, or are you kind of the lone MAGA black man in town?
I'm one of the lone MAGA. There are a few people out there sprinkled here and there, or there are people that are just kind of quiet. They're afraid to say anything.
Yep.
But for the most part, most people here are MAGA. I'm not MAGA, excuse me, are liberal. I mean, they're extremely liberal, unreasonable. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you've recovered from liberalism and escaped the Democrat plantation.
Yeah, this call makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, we're about out of time for the hour. But how long ago did you become MAGA? How long ago did you have the awakening?
I I would say during the time that Biden was in office.
There you go.
It
Yes.
definitely was a wake-up call.
Yes.
I didn't even vote during that time period.
That's awesome.
Even though I don't think it would have made a difference in Georgia, but but I definitely voted this time.
That's good.
And when I voted, it was long lines there. It was long lines, and most of the people were like saying all kinds of negative things about Trump.
Well, listen, we're out of time, Timothy, for the hour, but call us again sometime, and good to hear from you. And I do remember you calling. I remember your voice. All right, 1 hour to go. We'll be back right after this break. I remember his voice. I'm gonna put you on hold, Steve, for a minute. Okay. You there, Steve?
Yes, I am.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, he was I remember him. He was I remember the voice, not the name, but he was pretty nasty. He was one of those guys calling us racist and stuff.
I'm so glad that some big people are coming around.
Yeah, Jay from Jersey, Renee from Harlem, I don't know, but
well, you're not going to get everybody.
No. We got about 2 minutes. We'll be back. One minute.
I'd like to say something coming back.
All right. All right, we're back. The third hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane with us. Where'd you want to go, Steve? What direction this hour?
I'm very excited, and I realize this.
Yeah.
This is a real illness, this TDS.
Oh,
it really is.
Yeah.
And people, when they first start talking about it, they're joking around. They think it's funny. Oh, well, Trump deranging cynicism. It's not anything to joke about. It is a serious mental illness. It is a condition. It has destroyed and this will just continue to destroy unless we educate the public. It has destroyed families. It has destroyed members of my family. It has broken up. I mean, we had a strong, and it's still a strong relationship between most of us. But one or two family members got caught up in this thing, and it's a horrible, horrible thing. You can't communicate with these people. They're like zombies. And it's anger-provoking. I'll tell you that much.
But, let me ask you about that. You're right. It's, with the Trump derangement syndrome, we've had other controversial Republican presidents, Reagan, the Bushes. Why was there no mental illness with them? There was hate, but why do we have a mental illness with Trump?
Because it's an actual condition. It's a physical condition. The other things were small potatoes next to this.
Maybe he's the first Republican to do the things that he says he's going to do as a Republican. And they see, Roe v. You know what I mean? There's Roe v. Wade overturned and the border shut down. Trump said last week 3 people got through the border and they only let them through because one of them had a heart attack.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he's effective. That's one of the main reasons.
Yeah.
He's very effective. He means what he says and delivers most of the time. Sometimes belatedly. Sometimes people want him to move faster, but that's their problem.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right.
I still say the important thing is them getting back together because they can't accomplish on their own what they can accomplish working with each other. And when I think Trump realizes that already, Elon is a little slower in developing, but I think eventually Elon's going to wake up probably as early as today sometime, and he's going to realize that it was a dumb thing that he did.
Yeah.
And he made a mistake.
And
he's going to correct it.
I would not be surprised if he ends up at the White House over the weekend. It wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, absolutely. I think what occurs is going to occur in the context of this coming weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. When people are friends, these guys are like best friends. When people are close friends and there's a problem, there's the guys, Jesse Waters was talking about this. These millennials and Gen Zers, and they don't get it because they're not real men. But when you're my age or up through Steve's generation, which is the president's generation, guys that are friends can get into knockout, drag-out fights and make up like it's nobody's business. But there's some things came out yesterday that Elon did. He was yelling at Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. He did get into a big fight with the openly gay Treasury Secretary. And President Trump said that he told him he had to leave. He told him he had to leave. And because he was so out of control. But sometimes
Elon's going through a tough time, but he'll overcome it.
It's hard to feel bad for the richest man that's ever lived, the richest man in the world, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to say, poor Elon. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, I would not be surprised if they're at the White House this weekend. It would not surprise me at all. It would not. Before we go to the phones, I just want to say, let me go out the number, then we'll go to the phones. 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're calling from. I will say this, that what happened yesterday was almost like a national poll. MAGA stood strong with President Trump. There were no prominent MAGA people who all of a sudden were joining Team Elon during this conflict. Everyone was on Trump's side, and it shows it's MAGA strong. It shows how strong the MAGA movement is, and how much support President Trump has. Because I was waiting for some fake MAGA to be smoked out by this yesterday, and I didn't see. I didn't see any of that, and I was happy to see that because these fake MAGA people, Steve. Every once in a while they'll show you their true colors. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. I know a lot of you have been on hold for quite some time. Our number is toll free 1-888-465-2631. Before we go to the phone, Steve, I just want to tell everyone about Friendly Tire in Margate. I've been a customer there for 15 or 20 years. You've been a customer there for starting the day before we started advertising them on the program. You went over to Friendly Tire You got such a great deal. The next day we were doing spots for him. And it's true. Friendly Tire in Margate has tires as low as $70 a tire that are brand new. As low as $70 a tire, out the door and on the road for brand new tires. And when I say out the door and on the road, what I mean by that is this. When you call Friendly Tire and get a quote over the phone, that's it. Friendly Tire does not charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or even dispose of your old tire. So the price you get over the phone is out the door and on the road. Friendly Tire have all the name brand tires that you want. If you're into that, they can get tires for any type of vehicle. They do tire repairs, and also he has thousands of good used tires in stock as well. Here's the number. When you call, make sure you tell him you heard about him on the Steve Kane Show. He'll take extra good care of you. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. And by the way, he is open on Saturdays. So if you want to go in tomorrow, you can do that. Okay, so your prediction is it'll be resolved quickly, and we'll find out what the jury of public opinion has to say. You're on the air.
My guess is before the weekend's over.
Okay. And I consider today day one of the weekend because the weekend starts at 9 a.m., doesn't it, for everybody on Fridays? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, guys. This is JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, Steve, Brian. I look at this. This is definitely a bit crazy, but when I saw this, I've known Elon has had Asperger's. It's under the autism spectrum, but I look at this. It's sort of like Mike Douglas in Fatal Attraction, but without the rabbit. We got a black guy. We got a meltdown. And Elon is definitely. Autism is. People I think know autism a lot more than they know Asperger's. But if you ever watched Elon around a bunch of people, I have, and he's very socially awkward. And it's hard for people with Asperger's. Going back to when he was a kid, he was goth. He got picked on. He did not have the nicest childhood, but he's a highly functioning, logical person. And when you go into politics, it's the opposite of that. It's got to drive him a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The logic of what is right, which is what he wants to do, in Capitol Hill, that's like heaven and hell. Capitol Hill doesn't work on logic. It works on, pigs fly. It works on pork chops flying out throughout the country. And it's very hard for somebody of his, adult side mind and the child side mind to reconcile that. And his relationship with Trump is not based on business. He is really, that's like the friend he never had back when he was getting picked on.
Or the
Trump's
dad.
like the big guy.
He's
like the big guy.
The dad or the coach.
And his feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, his feelings are hurt. And yeah, that was one hell of a manic episode of that. That's.
But this is what I'm trying to get to, because I don't know anybody that has this particular thing. This break from reality, I'm assuming is common with that condition. Is it something that's over in 24 hours?
Well, the breakdown, yes, it's sort of like the emotion's gone. Yeah, it's going to. He'll definitely come off of that, because it's sort of like. It's like a kid. It's like you pick on a kid, you pick on a kid, and then he bursts. And I'm telling you right now, especially with the fight that he had with the secretary, the fight that he had with the Trump's
Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. Yeah,
Susie. Those fights, those things, and I see a buildup of him, a perception of him, almost like from when he was back in school, where he felt as though he was getting picked on, and then his best friend took away,
Well, there may be factors of all these things, but another thing is, when you're the richest man in the world, you're like a dictator. You get whatever you want when you want, and now all of a sudden you're not getting your way, and it's it's difficult.
Well, for him, the thing is, Brian, getting his way in almost all cases for him. It's been
what you're
good
saying
for us
is
in the country.
Spoiled.
It's been logical.
Spoiled,
When he gets
Steve.
his way, he gets to make that decision. He doesn't have to go through a committee. And it's a hell of a lot different, a board of directors, than dealing with 435 crazy people.
All right, appreciate the call. Yeah, I appreciate the call. All right, we're going to take the first break of today's third hour, okay? When we get back, we'll go back to the phones. Our number is 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We've had incredible calls on the program today. Not all of them, but we've had a solid chunk, I think, of high-quality calls on today's program. So hopefully we'll keep that going. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. We'll be right back. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay. We got a couple minutes. Oh, thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
You know, another thing, too, is what he's doing, it shouldn't even be debatable, right? All that Doge stuff, and I think he's confused that there's people opposing catching bank robbers, right?
Yeah. Well, he'll come to his senses.
Yeah.
He's too bright not to.
If the mental break's over. If you're having a mental break, you're not rational.
People change when the pain gets great enough.
Mm-hmm. His tweets were just nuts. The first.
Oh, he was out of control.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be approached by all Don's enemies.
Yep.
And that's when he'll start to realize that they have nothing to offer. Because if he thinks that Don was cutting the budget too much,
yeah.
Wait till...
No. You know, I checked out one of those cyber trucks last weekend. Ugh. They're not that special. The car, I like the cars, but that Cybertruck is, got about a minute.
Yeah, okay.
I saw the truck that Trump owns that somebody gave him. I've seen it driving around 3 or 4 times lately, and I can never get close enough to see who's driving it. Remember somebody gave him one that had him when he got shot on it? And I keep seeing it driving around town, but I can never get to see who's driving it. But it's got to be somebody in the Trump family. Okay. I'm going to put you on hold for 1 second. Hold on. Steve, you there? You there? No, I lost him. Thought so. right, we are back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here.
Can't hear you.
I got you, Steve. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones in just a moment. 1-888.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll put you on hold, and we'll do it all. Okay. All right. Let me try it again. I lost Steve. All right, you back with us, Steve?
Am I? You tell
Yes,
me.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, your phone got you got muted for a second.
Low, but go ahead.
That's okay. Well, I'll talk louder. We were talking during the break, and I wanted just to throw this out. Something you said to me during the break, Steve, which I thought was really good. Right now, and since yesterday, all of Trump's enemies have been reaching out to Elon. And these are some real despicable people. I mean, and it's going to be a big wake-up call when he hears from those people. He's really going to be, I could only imagine the people that have been trying to call him in the last 24 hours. It's like America's Most Wanted. He's been getting a call from it.
Exactly.
Yeah. All the evildoers. No.
If he thinks the budget he was presented was tight, wait till he sees what the Democrats have in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, back to the phones. We shall go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Courtney. I'm calling from England.
Courtney, is this your daughter, Steve? Courtney?
It's my daughter.
It is.
Well, you're on the air, Courtney.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was sorry. I'm just calling because I have some training with autism and Asperger's, which actually we can't talk about or call it Asperger's anymore because Hans Asperger's, who he's named after, was complicit with Nazis.
Oh.
So they kind of had to change the name in 2013. I just want to say that for one thing.
I didn't realize you had an expertise in such matters. You're getting ready for your move to the United States?
I am, yes. But I was listening to the show this morning, and I found it really interesting because it's something that I do know about Asperger's, and I've been following about what's going on with Elon and with Trump, and you know where I stand with Trump. I'm sorry.
Well, let me ask you because is the let's not get sidetracked on that and cause a family score.
Well, by the way, for the audience, this is Courtney Kaine, one of my daughters that didn't freak out.
Yeah, so what we're trying to find out we'll for the conversation we'll call it Asperger's because that's what it's commonly known as in the United States. The way that Elon Musk behaved, like two questions, because he had a total break from reality yesterday. One is the way he behaved consistent with some type of Asperger's outbreak, and how long do these things last?
Yeah, I believe it is. You can get a thing called psychosis during it as well, where his mental state could go into a whole different reality, and that's what he sees as reality, even if it isn't the truth. So he can, he's been posting stuff about Trump being seen with Epstein, and just that little thing can start a whole story in his head to make it believe at the time that's what's going on. So he's had a fit. He's not got his way on one thing or another. And he's just taken it out of proportion because they overreact massively with Asperger's, with autism, anything on the spectrum. They can take something that's so small and it could be the end of the world to them. He is a very powerful man, so he's going to try to do what he does best and try to take things down, really.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. This is my daughter that is with most of my children who've held on to their sanity. Do you think there's any hope for Rachel? Because that's her sister who is basically...
I love Rachel.
Not talking to anyone in the family.
That's a no.
I love Rachel, but I haven't even spoke to her, so I don't know. But what I do want to say is that what Elon's going through, though, could last from anything through a few minutes to a couple days to a couple weeks. So when he's finished, though, he's going to feel bad about it. And he's going to have a mental break on that, where it's a lot of apologies and, I'm sorry's and
regrets,
groveling, basically.
Regrets.
Yeah.
You think he's fixable?
Who? Elon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think after he snaps out of the psychosis, we'll call it, he's gonna feel massively a lot of regret, let's say.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this is Courtney, who is Steve's daughter, and your English accent is Yeah, your English accent's getting heavier and heavier and heavier. I mean, it's like this is. I mean, you sound like I got to tell you, just from my ear, you sound a little bit like Mary Poppins.
Oh gosh, no, maybe I've been around Hazel too much then.
See this is not a Cooper City, Florida accent.
No, I'll get that back once I move back, though.
So you and your family of four boys are getting ready to move back to the United States next year, right?
Yeah. Well, we're coming back for a visit to start getting everything together. Obviously, it's a long process because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with immigration that we have to overcome. But
you're an American. You and your kids are Americans.
Yeah, my kids do have the American citizenship now, all 4 of them officially after last year, but my husband's British, so he has to go through the whole process now.
Oh.
Well, we can't wait for you to join the family over here, and nothing can compensate for the unfortunate thing that happened to your sister.
Yeah, we'll put in.
Tell her you can tell. You used to not like Trump very much, but tell him a little bit about what Trump derangement syndrome has been like when you went through it. You seem to have recovered well.
I don't know about
so
that.
Let the audience know there's hope.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
I don't know about that, Steve.
Yeah, the thing is, they show stuff over here. Obviously, I've got my New York Times and things, but at the same time, yeah.
On top of the fact that you're living in
correspondent in Great Britain.
Yeah, well, she's living in a Muslim country, Steve. So there's a problem with that too.
There's a lot of pros. The thing, I don't know. I just don't like starting fights with the family. I appreciate other people's opinions, and I'll take people's opinions. I'll have my own, but
oh boy.
They show, not in a bad way, it's just the simple fact that over here, we're watching as people are getting deported for no reason, but then again, they might not be explaining more what's going on. I can't
and everyone is being deported out of the United States for a very good reason.
Yeah, I've seen the bad ones, don't get me wrong.
Your radio debut, will you call us from time to time? Let us know how you're doing in Great Britain. Keep us posted.
That's all right. I just really enjoyed. It was something that I thought I could contribute to understand.
No, you didn't. No, you helped us a lot.
There might be a break with that.
You helped us a lot.
Well, no problem. I hope you guys have a great day, though.
Okay, take care. All right, that's Steve's daughter, Courtney.
Take care. Bye.
Oh boy.
Bye, baby.
So you have at least 2 children that have Trump derangement syndrome because she self-admitted. She admitted it. She's
well, she had it, but I think she's well into her recovery.
Yeah, she's still got it. She may not have it as severe as your other daughter, but oh my goodness.
Anyway, our correspondent from Great Britain, Courtney Kaine.
Yes. Now, I want to tell you this, though. Today's Friday. This is the first day of the weekend. If you're suffering with aches and pains, go see Dr. Appleton. Steve, his laser away pain treatment not only works, the treatment, it works and lasts. The first time Dr. Appleton rid me of pain, which was in my right knee, I'd suffered from pain since I was 20-ish, early 20s with that knee. And as I got older, it got worse. That was the first thing he rid me of pain using the laser away pain treatment. In August, it will be 3 years since he rid me of pain, and the pain has not returned. And by the way, the 6 times on top of that he rid me of pain, the pain has not returned either. So the laser away pain treatment, it works and it lasts. And the reason that is because Dr. Appleton, when you get an examination with him, he is able to determine where in your body the pain is coming from. He treats that part with the laser treatment, and it repairs the damage that's causing pain. I went in, Steve, from my shoulder, and I was in pain all the way down my arm and into my hands. And Dr. Appleton, he examined me. He said, the pain's coming from right here, Brian. He was pointing this part in the shoulder. I said, Doc, it's my hand. I can't, He says, it's coming from here. I said, okay, you're the doc. He treated me there. Boom, pain gone. Whole arm and hand, pain gone. Shoulder, arm, and hand, gone. Has not returned. It's amazing. The laser treatment works. There's no shots, no drugs, No surgery, no downtime. It's 100% painless. You don't even feel the treatment as it's happening. Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself, and appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays because Dr. Appleton knows when you're in pain, you need help, you need relief, you need it now. So go in there. If you can't make it in today, go tomorrow on Saturday. Walk-ins welcome then too. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain like I've done 7 times. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. All right. I knew that was her on the line, Steve. That's why I was dancing around with you there.
That was great. She did okay.
Uh-huh.
For her first time.
Well, first time since she was like 8 or something.
Yes, really.
No, she came on when she was in high school and made that virginity pledge, remember?
Yes, I do.
I forgot about that.
That was before the 4 kids.
Well, she was in high school. She wasn't married.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
Cooper City High.
Oh, I thought it was the Calvary School.
She went to Calvary for a while, for 2 years.
Okay. All right, hold on. I'm getting a... Let's see when we're back. Okay. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Yeah, I think there's a universal agreement that it's that Asperger's thing, and he'll snap out of it.
I think when he realizes the position he's in without Trump, I think he's going to come to his senses.
Mm-hmm.
He loses too much.
Well, but you got to be lucid when you're lost your mind. You're not thinking like that.
Wow.
Steve Bannon was going nuts. He wanted yesterday. Steve Bannon, he wanted Trump to seize SpaceX last night and deport him. At the same, and he was not joking. He was serious. Steve Bannon saw it as an opportunity to get back in the White House, obviously.
Yeah, really.
But I don't think. All right, 1 minute. She does sound like Mary Poppins, though.
You think?
A little bit. The accent comes and goes. Every once in a while, I hear a little normal voice, but yeah.
When she's in English, she sounds. You adapt to the language that's immediately around you.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets a much more British when she's in England.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's around the proper British. That's a proper British accent. Yeah.
Surrounded by Brits.
Not that those ones you can't understand.
Her boys have accents.
Yeah, well, yeah. All right, stand by. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. I was telling Steve during the break, the last time your daughter Courtney was on the show, she was in high school here in Florida, and so she was a teenager. I don't remember what year of high school it was, but she came in and made a virginity pledge on the radio. Remember that?
I remember it well. That was before she had 4 boys.
If she was telling the truth, yes. No, but she was in high school then. It was before she was married. But, yeah, that was a long time ago. Boy, time flies. I remember her when she was like 3.
Time flies when you're having kids.
Wait, there was that. Well, remember at WFTL we had those trading cards.
Yes.
And we had baseball cards made, and there's not one of me because they were made right before I started there, so I wasn't in the baseball card set. It was like a month before I got there. You did that, but she was the mascot, and she was like 4 years.
They're worth a lot of money today.
They are worth a lot of money, and I have several unopened packs of them. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi there, Steve, Brian, Louise, the masked lady in Boca.
Yes.
Hey, Louise.
Yes. Hi, Steve. Long time no talk. I just wanted to ask, I'm a little confused. What was the whole thing that triggered this? Was it that Elon was against the bill? The
No.
big, beautiful bill?
No. President Trump talked about.
From what I can tell, I think what triggered it was he stopped. Trump announced that he was not going to subsidize the electric cars anymore.
Yeah.
And I can see where Elon would be upset by that, given what he sacrificed for the Trump team.
But Steve, I thought President Trump said he knew about that.
Oh, he knew about it.
Well, President Trump's story. No. President Trump said that wasn't what it did it. President Trump, when he was with the German chancellor, said when people leave the White House and they wake up the next day and they're not in this office, it causes a depression. And that's what President Trump says. He's not at the seat of power anymore. But it's a mix.
But he knew he was going to be there for only a limited number of days.
But you know what? We're all
but knowing it and experiencing it are two different things.
Yeah, we're all dying, but you don't worry about it till you're on your deathbed and they tell you you're dying, right?
Okay. Now I have to quickly ask. I haven't listened from the beginning. Is Richie okay? Richie the bus driver?
Your boyfriend?
Was he not okay?
I haven't heard from him.
He's in a self-imposed exile. Like Elon Musk, he's had a break and from being lucid, and has created all kinds of things that he should be mad at me about.
Oh, okay.
Which none of which are true, because I've done nothing to him other than kind of make him famous.
Yeah, I thought I just haven't heard him.
Richie is to me right now what Elon is to Trump right now.
Okay, so you think it was the fact that he was leaving the White House that he got all.
Well, this is what that's what Trump said. And Elon, if you go back, Elon was like higher up than the cabinet members. In these cabinet meetings, the cabinet members were reporting to him. And so he was, in effect, I don't want to say a co-president, but in his mind he was. And no one in history, not even a first lady, has had the role or access that Elon had. Right. And you lose that on a dime, it causes problems. I mean, it's got to be a big letdown.
All right. Okay, I'm still not clear about it. The president asked him to leave.
Well, he was apparently, and as things got heated yesterday, after the Epstein thing, okay, Trump started saying some stuff. Apparently, Elon was yelling at Susie Wiles, who was the chief of staff. Pretty bad, which is unacceptable. And then there was some report of a big knockout, drag out with the Treasury Secretary. And Trump said he asked him to leave, which means he fired him.
Yeah.
And you know, right. and I got to tell you, Elon, they firebombed his dealerships. We know everything he's been through. And
of course.
And he's taken a big financial hit, although he's still the richest man in the world. But,
well,
you know.
that's why I think he was upset. I mean, he figured that Trump would make it up to him with government business.
He feels owed.
Yes.
But now the electric car was supposed to be mandated. Was that it?
Yeah, the Democrats mandated we were all going to have to drive and purchase electric vehicles by some year. That's gone.
Well, I mean, Elon knew that.
That's what Trump said. Listen, were you at your age, are you a widow?
No, I'm not a widow, divorced. But
okay. No, hold on. When, in my experience, because you were married, when married people typically get divorced, just from friends of mine that I've known, the reason that they cite for the breakup usually isn't the issue. There's always something underlying what they vocalize, you know, and this is kind of what's going on. This has nothing to do with the mandate. These are just excuses.
Yeah,
you know?
Because Trump was always against mandating electric
He ran
cars.
on that. He ran on it.
Of course.
And I was under the impression that Elon was against the mandate too. You know, and I'll tell you, you know, I think Elon likes Teslas being kind of like the luxury special brand. He doesn't want everybody to have them. He wants it to be a special thing. That's what I always thought. All right, appreciate the call, Mask Lady. All right, you know, I met her, Steve, and I don't know what she looks like because she wears the mask. You know, didn't know. I'm serious. She was at the Barry Siegel workshop that I went to a while back. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. Never Trumper Steve here. How you doing, Steve?
Oh, you must be in all your glory today.
Say again?
What's up?
What's up?
Hello?
Yes.
You there?
Well, he's a liberal, Steve. He's never fully here. Go ahead. You're on the air, Never Trumper Steve. You can hear. I heard you laugh.
Yeah, I tried to get through on Monday. I just couldn't after you indicated, based on Friday's au revoir from the Oval Office, that they were really tight buds. And I was trying to get through to say, really? He just got fired. How could you say that you know, they're tight buds? And you believe what Trump said yesterday, that he was fired. So basically I was correct. But there isn't any one thing that caused Musk to go off yesterday. It's a combination of lots of things. I think you'd agree with that. But what we have here in the flesh is what pay for play does. He paid, Musk did, to help Trump get elected. I'm not saying that made the difference, but he certainly gave him a few votes for all that money. And Musk wanted fully to be paid back for it. And when he didn't get a few things, like the credit for the electric vehicles, and he was denied his Starlink satellite system for air traffic control, and he was denied his friend becoming the NASA administrator, he went off. He's saying,
you know, I got to tell you, never
accurate. It's all accurate. So
this is a great call, because Never Trumper Steve is telling us what an upstanding, lawful, great, moral president that President Trump is, that the richest man in the world thought he had bribed him, and he didn't give him anything. There's no pay for play with President Trump.
Oh, really? Well, now you're going to disagree with me, because
now he's going to change his tune.
When you say Trump was being moral, when Musk stopped U.S. aid in its tracks, then according to many people, that Musk, the world's richest man, helped starve and cause the death of a lot of babies in foreign countries.
Just say not according to. Say according to liberals.
Yeah, The View. They said that on The View yesterday. The number's 300. The talking point that you've forgotten is because of Elon Musk shutting down USAID, 300,000 people are now dead. That's the talking point. Sonny Hostin said it on The View. I've gotten a couple.
Dying and you can't.
Babies are dying.
You can't deny that.
People are dying. People are dying all over the world. But if babies are dying because
the responsibility of the United States government.
If babies are dying because of President Trump and Elon, don't you think I'd see this on CNN and MSNBC?
Well, yeah, you should have by now, because it is a
why haven't we? Then why haven't we?
Even if you heard it, you wouldn't admit
No, but
to
why
it on the
have
show.
you know, why? Oh, boy, you know when you're talking to.
But I have heard it.
No.
I can't help it.
No. I'm talking about it being reported. If babies have died because of Trump and Elon. By the way, Trump saved more babies than any other man who's lived by overturning Roe v. Wade. But if babies are dying because of Trump and Elon, why has it not been reported by CNN?
By the way, speaking about Roe v. Wade.
But it was reported on CNN yesterday where there is food and medicine in
That's a lie.
Being stored.
That's a
that
lie.
They maybe are going to have to destroy because
That's a
it's not
lie.
getting distributed.
That's a lie.
But see, that's what you're going to say. But bottom line
No,
is,
Steve. Well,
I have
Steve. No,
personal
never
experience.
never Trump or Steve. Slow down. You were saying something, Steve Kane.
No, it's all right.
Wait, there's a difference between a pundit saying something and a news story reporting it.
This was not a pundit. This is someone involved in the distribution of food and medicines to the world's poorest people.
And what did they say? And what did they say?
Being stuck in warehouses that our government wants to get money for when it was brought over there without any expectation of being paid.
So did they
This is
show?
where people are dying.
Did CNN show the dead babies that are dead because of Elon and Trump?
I don't think I should expect that, nor should you. Common sense would tell you if you've stopped the
They
food
would show the
program
graves.
for people who need it to live, that there may be a
They would
bad
show.
effect as a result of that.
They would show the graves.
But getting back to the pay for play.
No, we got to run for our break. We're late for the break. Sorry about that. You were. He was just going to tell us he was involved in a pay for play. Oh no. All right, listen. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. I got to get William Youngman for the final gold report of the week. Hold on. If you're on hold, stand by. Back after this. Hey there, hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, stand by. I'm going to get William. All right, William, stand by. We just have a short time. We'll be back in 1 minute. 1 minute. All right. Hey.
Almost. Not really. Quarter to done.
We are back. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane is here. I'm Brian, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with the final gold and precious metals report of the week. William Youngerman, how the metals looking?
Well, metals are looking up again after yesterday's a little bit of a pullback on gold, but up solidly on the other white metals. Gold trading yesterday in a range of $3,336 all the way up to $3,405 before pulling back to close at $33.51.40, down $21.30 on more profit taking. Silver up $1.11 yesterday, closing out the day at $35.58. Platinum gaining $48, closing out the day at $11.38. And palladium was up $10 at $9.88. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $33.44 all the way up to $33.76. Right now, we're at about $33.52. That's about 60 cents. Silver up another 56 cents at $36.14 the ounce. That's right, $36 silver. And platinum up $23 at $1,161. Palladium up $42 at $1,030. So metals are doing very well.
Wow, silver is on fire. Yesterday you were talking about some of the 1 ounce silvers, and somebody had asked me to ask you, but you guys can ask your questions of William Youngman and his staff after they open at 10. But you were talking about silver rounds and what a great deal they were. Can you tell people what silver rounds are?
Yes, silver rounds are just a generic form of 1 ounce silver that is, they're basically round, like they're like a 1 ounce bar, but they're round. And they're 999 pure silver, and they have different. They come from different mints and have different pictures on them and stuff. But they're 1 ounce of pure silver.
Yeah, and they're really good.
Traded and popular.
And they're really good deals. You get really good deals on those silver rounds. Yeah, and it's basically like it's like a silver coin, but it's not a coin. It's 1 ounce of silver and it looks like a coin. And some of them have really cool designs on them and are collectibles. Listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. And remember, at William Youngerman's, all the medals are available for immediate delivery. The address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. You can also give them a call toll-free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. And you can find both his address and phone number online at williamyoungerman.com, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk on Monday.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, take care. Wow, did you hear that, Steve? Silver at $36? I mean, my goodness.
I love it.
Phew. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's amazing.
It sure is. All right, guys. So just to give you an update on the Elon saga, it's still being reported. There's no change that President Trump and Elon have a scheduled phone call today. And if Elon is willing to have a phone conversation, if that happens, that means he's recovered from his bender. That's how I would take it. If he was still having a break, he wouldn't be agreeing to phone calls. All right. Back to the phones we shall go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. Good morning. Good morning, Steve.
Oh, speak of the devil.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm going to say, I've been listening to your show, and I have a different point of view here. You guys seem to think it's the Asperger's that caused this outrage. I happen to think what happened to him caused the outrage,
Yeah? Uh-oh, we lost Richie. Your phone cut out, Richie. Oh.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear?
Yep.
Okay. The Asperger's are a symptom. Him and the medication he's on, he should have done. Elon should not have done what he did. Okay, that's getting out of the way. Now going to ahead of a normal thinking person that doesn't have this disease. Here's a guy that spent a ton of money. He took time away from his baby, his car manufacturing. He took his time away from everything, devoted all his time and money to get President Trump elected. Okay, he gets President Trump elected. President Trump's been very good to him, by the way. And he's been very good to President Trump. We're on an even playing field here. Okay, then he comes into the White House. He spends like 100 days on this Doge committee, leading the Doge committee, okay? And his car dealership, the left are burning his cars in the streets. He sees his showrooms getting torched. He sees everything in his car dealership falling apart, okay? And then he gets a look at this bill that I'm not talking about the subsidies for the electric car. I'm talking about, not the subsidies, the mandate. I think that should be tossed. But to eliminate that $7,500 subsidy on an electric car, which I don't believe in, is a kick in his teeth.
Well, you know what? Slow down on that one, Richie, because I haven't heard it reported. Maybe it has, and I missed it. The tax deduction on the EV has been removed too, or just the mandate?
No, the tax reduction.
Oh, that's a big blow. That's a big blow to the whole industry. It's not viable without that. I was at a
no.
Yeah, it's just is it the mandate or the mandate and the tax deduction rebate?
Both of them, and the fact of the matter is he's upset. He sees Amtrak in the bill. He sees the oil companies being subsidized by the federal government, and that's not Trump doing it. It's all these congressmen. Let's get this straight. This has nothing to do with Trump. But when he hears Trump talk about the great, big, beautiful bill, it sort of sets him off because he sees what he's really in financial trouble here. His stock took a 14% hit yesterday in Tesla.
Yeah.
I mean, he is
What's
really
gonna happen
upset
though
over this.
today after they make up to the stock.
Sounds like a good day to buy.
I hope they listen. I hope they make up. I really do hope they make up for the country. Make up because I don't want to see.
Well, what's going to happen when they make up is the stock price is going to go back up.
I don't know. I think that President Trump should try. I personally think that $7,500 incentive has to be put back.
If the
rebate,
rebate is not there, the EV car industry may not even be viable. You know, I was at they got a Tesla dealership at the Aventura Mall, and I was there last weekend with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I was just curious what the cars were, and that first thing the salesman told me about was the rebate. You know, and if that's like their big selling point.
You can't do that to this man after he's done. So my question to both of you guys, and Brian's already basically saying it. Would you be ticked off as a normal person? You might go behind closed doors and you might have a scream at Trump and everything. But would you be ticked off? I certainly would be. Any normal person.
If you're asking me would I be ticked off, the answer is yes. If your question is would I react as Elon did, the answer is no.
No, because that's the Asperger's. No, because that's the Asperger's kicking in. So you can't that kind of disease. I don't think you can express yourself the way you want to.
So watch this. So Richie,
Asperger's is not a free ticket to act like a jerk.
So what's your excuse when you get these anger fits at me?
I'm going to.
No, I'm just teasing. We don't have time. You have to tell us next week. You have to tell us next week, Richie.
I want this to be.
You have to tell us next week. You have to tell us next week. I think I just set him off again, but he
I have better reasons than Elon did.
He'll have to. That'll be. He'll call in on Monday. He can tell us.
On that discussion.
On why Richie gets mad at me?
No. Why I get mad at you?
No, you and I over the years, we don't do it on the air, but we had a disagreement the other day about something. We have disagreements, and we hash them out in private. Right?
Lately, all my agreements with you are about the same. Disagreements are all about the same thing.
I know, but some things. But I'll tell you what. One thing that we cannot disagree about is I have lost a ton of weight. You know, I've lost about 40 pounds, Steve, and that's a lot of weight for me. It's amazing. And when I look at myself in the mirror in the morning, and I have the body I had when I was like 21, 22, completely flat stomach, it feels so good. I mean, I feel better physically. I feel better. And I have more energy. I'm more awake. I've cut my caffeine intake by 50%. Because I don't need it anymore, because I have natural energy, because I don't have all the weight I was carrying around. And, you know, I was talking earlier about this, Steve, you know, Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It's not only did I lose the weight, it stopped me from gaining more, right? Because if I had not started with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I would have kept gaining, I guess. Who knows where it would have been? I could have ended up like Richie one day, you know?
How cool.
I couldn't resist. But no, I did not realize that I needed to lose weight. I really didn't. And when I started losing weight and I saw pictures of me at Wings Plus on Inauguration Day with you that I had taken with listeners, I needed to lose weight. And I needed to lose weight for a while. And it wasn't that I had gained weight and was maintaining it. I was continuing the gain. And sometimes it happens to you and you see yourself every day, you don't realize what's happening until you're there. But I've lost about 40 pounds. I look great. I feel great. And I also feel better about myself. And it's just a nice thing. Now, listen, give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. I'm going to give you the number. And when you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel, okay? And no matter where you're located in the United States, you can take advantage of this. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. Now, Steve, at the end of the show, don't hang up, all right? Do me a favor, don't hang up. I'm going to keep you on the line. We're out of time for today. We'll be back Monday. And let's just hope, Steve, that this is all settled, and it's settled today or by the end of the weekend. because everything's been going so well in this great second term of our favorite president and our greatest president, Donald Trump. We don't need petty things like this to mess around with what's got to be done, right? I mean, we just done. And by the way, this week we had to use the dump button 10 times. 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Hey, listen, guys. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. We'll see you Monday, 6 a.m. Steve, don't hang in there. I'll put you on hold for a second, okay? Hold on. Okay, you there, Steve?
I'm here.
Okay, now they can still hear you. You know, we're still streaming on YouTube. I was going to take some calls just online on YouTube. You want to do that?
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me put you on hold. Hold on. Okay. All right, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not on the radio now. We just signed off the radio, but we're still online. So this is just the online listener. So if you still want to call in, Steve and I'll take some calls for a few minutes. And this is like the after show, right? Okay, let's go. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go here. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Matthew from Oklahoma.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, man.
Hey, Brian, I just wanted to ask, how likely do you think Elon and Trump can amend this relationship after, Elon accused Trump of being a PDF file. He suggested Trump as a PDF file.
That's right, a pedo, yeah.
Yeah, not just to a couple million Americans, to the world.
Well, I'll tell you what. It can happen quick, and I'll tell you why it can happen quick. They're close friends. Elon obviously had a mental break with this Asperger's thing, okay? And that means he's got a health condition, and President Trump's going to tune all that stuff out because he wants to help his friend with his health condition, hopefully. That's how it plays out.
That would be ideal. That would be ideal. It just bothers me the fact that he also made light of the fact that Trump could be gone in the next couple of years.
No, he said Trump had one of the. This was a great one, Steve. He said Trump only has 3.5 years left, meaning the presidency. He says I have 40 years left. I was like, jeez.
Right, yeah. That was a little bit over the line. I guess I am a bit overreading on him implying that Trump could pass away soon.
No, he didn't. That's not what he meant. No. He meant the presidency. He meant in 3.5 years he won't be in power anymore. That's what he meant.
Right. Yeah, right. I kind of overread into that comment. But, it's still kind of belittling Trump and his status and his ability to influence going forward. So I think Elon is kind of crossing the line.
If they make up, they'll be stronger than ever.
It's completely, yeah, definitely. I don't know if there's still going to be some underlying tension or some underlying.
Not if they make up. Not if they make up. It'll be fine. All right. Appreciate the call, man. Take care. Take care. All right. Let's see. Oh boy. All right, Steve. You want to take some more calls?
Sure.
Okay. Let's go. We got a few people still on hold, and we'll take. This is the post show. We don't have to worry about the dump button so much. So much. Depends on what you say. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. Am I coming in okay?
You're on the air.
Hey, IB.
Hey, IB.
Some people are natural born liars, and some people are indoctrinated through the media. Of course, right?
Your phone's really bad, IB.
Hold on. Sorry about that. I'm on the move, my friend. Hey, Steve. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
Never Trump or Steve. Look, the same thing Bono said. Over 300,000, kids are dead. So how come CNN or MSNBC didn't send some camera crew out there to see these bodies laying around? The same thing they did with the hurricane in Puerto Rico. Over 3,000 people dead.
Because they made that up. In fact, that clip that he's talking about, I talked about that earlier this week. I can't remember what exact. It's on my Twitter, guys. I'll look it up. That's a talking point. That's a talking point.
So, all he has is the talking point. Look, we would have seen some kind of proof of that. Where are all those places and where are the kids? USAID was cut off for certain reasons. Did South Africa president not just come here and get money?
The talking point's too absurd. 300,000 are dead. Sonny Hostin said it on The View yesterday. 300,000 are dead because of Trump and Elon shutting down Doge. 300,000? Come on. Remember?
Same thing with the same.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, after 9/11, 3,000 died, and they didn't have enough graves in New York, remember? So 300,000, I mean, that's more than we lost in Vietnam by many times.
Steve is the same hypocrite. Because Never Trump and Steve is the same hypocrite who said, he had a gated community with cameras around his house, and he wants the illegals to live next door to us, but not next door to him.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it with the Medicare again. Anytime a bill gets close for what the Republicans want, they're going to go over those same old talking points to try to inhibit the bill. The BBB will pass, and once this passes, we're gonna have everything our way. Okay, we're gonna have our cake and not eat it too.
Yep. All right. Take care. All right, IB. All right. Hold on, Steve. The as crazy as it is, Steve, the phones are ringing off the hook. So, well, we're still on the air online. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Eric in Alabama. I just want to tell you, you're doing a wonderful job. Man, you are the source of my news. Every morning, my wife and I both watch you. Been watching you for, say, probably about 6 years.
Great.
And anyways, I just want to really give you that good compliment. Man, you're doing a great job and bringing people to our side.
All right.
The MAGA side.
Appreciate the call. All right. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you too, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's take a couple more. Why not? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Richard from Pompano.
Hey, Richard. What's up?
Okay. When all of this is going on, Elon stayed at Mar-a-Lago, or maybe he had an apartment in Washington, D.C., but does he have like a palatial estate like Trump?
No. Nope. Elon's made a big deal that he's not. Elon Musk is like your dad, Steve. Doesn't want to buy a house.
So he just goes from there to there.
Well, when you're the richest man in the world, most of us buy houses as an investment. Someone like President Trump wants to have a legacy. When you're the richest man in the world, why do you need a house? You can rent the best and not have any worries. You can live in a different house every week.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I was just curious.
All right. Take care. All right.
Have a good weekend.
All right. Well, let's take one or two more. I mean, I've been up since midnight, been on the air over 3 hours now, so I'm starting to fade. All right. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian. Hi, Steve. How are you? I got a call in Eric. I keep missing the radio show. I had 2 quick points. First, when you have 2 type A personalities like Elon Musk and President Trump and they lock horns, a lot of times it's better that things come to a quick blow up and it clears the air for the 2 of them. And a lot of times after the confrontation ends, they see traits of themselves in their opponent, and they actually become closer friends and closer co-workers in that, which can be a very, very good thing. I mean, these are 2 powerful MAGA guys, really. And I think they're going to be okay when things settle down a little bit. The second thing I want to see, do you remember when President Kennedy would...
What's that, Steve?
Yeah, I think they will. And I think they'll even be closer friends and closer partners in the administration once it settles down, because they see that both of them are fighters, and you go to have more respect for your opponent. And sometimes this could be a very good thing. Down the road a little bit, maybe by next Tuesday, one of those types of things.
That Elon's enemies are the same as Donald's enemies. That's when they're going to realize that they made a mistake.
But like I said, Steve, when they see what the downside is when they're not working together, when they work as a team, and maybe they have a better understanding of each other now too. I mean, these guys are really good together. They're
And,
really
and
good.
I'll tell you, we were talking about all the things he did. This saving the South African white farmers, that's obviously Elon's influence. That South African thing's been going on for 20 years. And,
yes.
and
so underreported too. Underreported.
Yeah. So, so I think they're going to, if I were to bet on it, I'd give it a 80% chance they make up fully.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Over the weekend.
You know what it is with these people on the left? It's the Trump derangements. Anytime there's something negative, they jump on it and they start doing their manifesting of
blow it out of proportion.
And a lot of young.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, they're trying to blame this on the Asperger disease, and that wasn't President Kennedy being secretly treated for that during his administration. Do you remember that?
But I've heard that. But the thing with Kennedy, you didn't have in your hand, you didn't have Twitter then, right? So these things are happening in the past when Dr. Feelgood had Jackie and President Kennedy all hopped up on dope. You didn't see it on TV, right?
Well, the thing, we didn't have that, but we did have the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I was wondering if anything would set somebody up dealing with the Cuban Missile Crisis, I think would have done it.
That may be why Bobby Kennedy was used to negotiate with the Russians, because maybe they didn't want anybody to see how high President Kennedy was, other than his brother.
Bobby Kennedy was he was to hold back channels for the entire thing.
By the way, Steve,
I think the only person he could trust was his brother too.
Did you hear what Bobby Kennedy Jr. said about his dad's assassination, Steve?
No.
Okay, you were in LA when that happened, right?
Yep.
Do you know who Bobby Kennedy says murdered his dad?
Who?
His bodyguard.
I heard that.
He said Bobby Kennedy talked about this a couple months ago. Bobby Kennedy was shot in the back. And
by accident?
No, on purpose. On purpose. He was a CIA assassin. His bodyguard. Bobby Kennedy Jr. talked about this in detail about 2 or 3 months ago. It was fascinating. He said,
wasn't the bodyguard like in the back of the room or something?
The bodyguard was behind him, was behind Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah.
They were walking behind him.
Yeah.
And Sirhan was facing Bobby when he walked into that kitchen, and Rosie Greer and a couple other celebrities, I can't remember who now, they got him before he got a shot off. Sirhan, and they had Sirhan's gun pointing straight up to the ceiling. There were no wounds from the front with Bobby; they were all from the back. I never heard that before. It's fascinating.
Well, are we thinking that Sirhan was another patsy like Lee Harvey Oswald?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes. And this is I if Bobby Kennedy says it, Jr., I take it to the bank. And it was all about Vietnam, because his dad just won the primary and was going to end the Vietnam War, and
well, didn't the young Kennedys go and visit Sirhan in prison too?
Yes, he visited.
I think a bunch of them did.
Yes, Bobby Kennedy did. Yeah. I thought that was fascinating, because I know you followed that. I always thought the whole thing was weird with Sirhan. It was I never understood it. Now I do. I mean, I really didn't understand I never understood what his motivation was. Sirhan.
Yeah.
But
that's a fascinating topic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right.
Yeah, next week I'll try and call in early, guys. Have a great weekend.
Well, there's still thousands of people listening. We're on the post show. All right. Well, I guess we can sign off for today, Steve. But
Did the Bobby Kennedy thing? Did they offer any photographs?
Bobby Kennedy. Now, this was from the mouth of Bobby Kennedy Jr. Okay, that I heard this. I didn't read about it. I didn't see someone talk about it.
They didn't release a picture?
No. I'm going to answer your question. So this came from the mouth of Bobby Kennedy Jr. He said, if you look at the autopsy report, okay, of his father, all the shots are from the back. Sirhan was in front of him. He never had his back to Sirhan. He always was front facing Sirhan. All the shots were from the back.
I don't know about that.
That's what Bobby said. Hey, I mean, he knows more about it than anybody. It's his dad. And so he said the autopsy, and he said the
everything I've ever seen, any photo evidence I've ever seen, it always puts Sirhan behind him.
No, that's not what Bobby says. He says that, no, he said he was in front of him. It happened when they were walking into the doorway of the kitchen. And
they were walking from outside the kitchen through the kitchen.
Yeah, through the kitchen. It was, yes. And there were a bunch of celebrities there that tackled Sirhan, and one of them was Rosie Greer, because I know Rosie Greer, as a kid, but the other one I don't remember. I'll try to find this for you. I don't know if I can find the exact interview and send it to you. One of them was a famous Olympian at the time, and the Olympian, I don't know his name, that Bobby told this whole story, Bobby Kennedy Jr., had grabbed Sirhan's arm that he had the gun in and had him facing it straight up in the air. It was never pointed at Bobby. And all the shots were from the back. And they had Sirhan bent over like a table in the kitchen or something and facing up on his back. And the bodyguard shot him from behind. That's Bobby Kennedy Jr. I know it's shocking stuff, but I believe him. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll text it to you. All right. Well, that's it for today. I will call you later in the day, Steve. All right. Take care. And those of you that are new to the program, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. All right. And if you're already subscribed, do me the favor of liking the video and sharing on your socials. And that interview with Bobby from a couple months ago, does anybody remember where that... It'll save me some time if you can remember it, where Bobby said that, so I can find it easier for Steve, because Steve doesn't believe me. And he does so many interviews, and I can't remember who Bobby Kennedy was talking to. It wasn't Megyn Kelly, I don't think. Does anybody remember who the interview was with? Well, thank you very much. No one remembers. Well, I will try to find it. It was since the election, so it was pretty recent. All right, guys. Hey, listen again. Thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. All right. I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Take care.